Oh.
Dès demain, nous saisirons avec l'ensemble des groupes de la NUPES le Conseil constitutionnel pour demander à ce que ce texte soit déclaré anticonstitutionnel pour beaucoup des choses qu'il y a dedans, à la fois dans la forme du véhicule législatif utilisé, mais aussi dans le fond. Et jeudi, nous pouvons, avec l'intersyndicale qui a appelé à une grève et une manifestation massive dans le pays, enterrer définitivement cette réforme. En tout cas, je vous le dis, notre petite voix, rien n'est fini dans ce pays et nous continuerons jusqu'au bout, jusqu'au retrait de cette réforme. Nous ne voudrons jamais de la retraite à 64 ans.
On pourrait peut-être, si vous permettez, compléter quelques-uns des propos en disant qu'en aucune manière, le gouvernement ne peut se prévaloir d'un vote à l'Assemblée nationale en faveur de sa réforme. Il a, au fond, aboli la séparation des pouvoirs puisque, songez-y, nous n'avons voté ce texte ni en première ni en deuxième lecture. Il n'y a pas de majorité dans le pays, il n'y a pas de majorité parmi les organisations syndicales qui s'opposent tous ensemble à cette réforme. Il n'y en a pas non plus à l'Assemblée nationale, de l'aveu même de la Première ministre qui disait il y a quelques jours « le compte n'y est pas ». Et quand le compte n'y est pas, on retire sa réforme plutôt que de faire le choix de brutaliser les Français et la démocratie. Songez bien que ce qui s'est passé aujourd'hui est bien plus profond dans ses sources et bien plus large dans ses conséquences que la seule réforme des retraites. Il y a une crise sociale considérable. Et au cœur d'une crise de la vie chère, les parlementaires de la majorité, le président de la République, sa première ministre qu'on a vue au définitive assez peu au banc, ont décidé de brutaliser un peu.
All right, so right now, those are the representatives of the left coalition. We just heard the representative of the NUPES / France Insoumise coalition. Now it's the president of the socialist group.
Avec toutes les voix de droit qui sont les nôtres, le combat dans les manifestations de l'intersyndicale, en donnant la parole aux Français à travers un référendum d'initiative partagée, et dans un recours
the vote already happened.
Qui a beaucoup à dire sur le détournement de procédures et les abus de pouvoir.
Have my bug out bag ready? No, not at all. Oh, geez, I have no bug out bag, and I don't need it. I don't need it. We're what I'm seeing here. So I haven't. I've actually been preparing. Like earlier today, I've been doing mostly research concerning the Trump arrest stuff. So I was gonna just like catch up on the France situation live.
Il est tout à fait réel et il est...
And here the headline is saying that the vote of no confidence failed by 9 votes. Which is really fucking close. Reminder: the vote to kick out Yanukovych in Ukraine, that for the Maidan revolution, technically failed by 10 votes. So actually, if you defend the fact that Yanukovych was kicked out of government in Ukraine, then those 9 votes should be should still be. Where's Magic Turtle? Where's Magic Turtle to like support me on this? To do his speech about the illegal coup of Ukraine. So yeah, they needed 287 votes. So this means they got 278. Let me check another source, because this is BFM TV, which is basically French Fox News. It's not the best source. Let's see, motion de censure. Oh, there will be a second one. Oh. Okay, yeah. So the vote of no confidence got rejected by 9 votes. And now there will be a second motion for a vote of no confidence, proposed by the far-right party, Rassemblement National, Marine Le Pen's party, which means it's not going to pass. If the transpartisan vote of no confidence, because if I recall correctly, this one was proposed by a centrist party. If the centrist party's vote of no confidence motion was not enough to to overthrow Macron's government, then the one proposed by the far right is not going to be enough either. Knowing that the vote is already not going to pass, just because of the optics, the left parties will refuse to vote on the right wing's party vote. All right, let me put the TV back on and let me open the door for my girlfriend. She's back from work. Wait, let's put the sound on. Enjoy the sweet, sweet French talking. Be right back.
À Paris, attendez le résultat de la motion de censure qui vient de tomber. Donc, ce sont les prochaines minutes et les prochaines heures qui vont être déterminantes sur la façon dont les choses vont se dérouler. Ensuite, vous aviez tout à fait raison de le signaler. Le risque, il est réel d'un dépassement finalement de l'intersyndicale par la base et par les Français, parce que le principal argument avancé par l'intersyndicale depuis des semaines est désormais caduque. C'était la rue ne gouverne pas puisque le Parlement va décider en recourant à l'article 49.3. Le Parlement ne décide plus, la rue se sent démunie parce qu'il n'y a plus d'arguments aujourd'hui pour s'opposer à cette réforme.
On sait si nos renseignements généraux ont eu, je dirais, des sueurs froides ces derniers temps, en tout cas des inquiétudes.
Des inquiétudes, oui, évidemment, tout simplement parce que, on le disait jusqu'à présent, le mouvement il est organisé, cadré par l'intersyndicale. On est sur des actions qui sont ciblées.
Madame Le Pen.
You see this? Nice is asking. It was telling me not to open the door for you. Yeah. The vote of no confidence failed by 9 votes.
Alors,
so he's calling for a revolution. You've heard it here.
On peut imaginer
this is an insurrectionist stream now. Just let the cat in. The cat's here. She's like hiding under the bed. I'm going to break all the rules. Hey, Vibewater, long time no see. How are you doing?
Le résultat qu'on affiche ce soir, 278 voix, signifie que la réforme des retraites est adoptée. Et je pense que pour des millions de gens, qu'ils soient d'ailleurs favorables à cette retraite ou totalement défavorables, opposés, la conclusion, la traduction de ce vote, c'est que ce soir, la réforme des retraites est adoptée et donc l'âge de départ légal à la retraite est reculé à 64 ans. Alors l'histoire parlementaire, l'histoire...
What the guy's saying right now is that the doesn't matter whether you support or oppose the reform of the retirement rules. Now, with this vote, with the failure of the vote of no confidence, the law is adopted. The reform of the retirement age stuff is adopted. Now, there's a lot of misinformation. I can go into detail about it. It's not that people retire at 62 years here in France. Most people retire at 67 because if you go for like an early retirement, you lose a lot of your retirement pay. Regardless, the minimum age of retirement at which you will indeed like probably have to take a pay cut got moved up from 62 to 64 with this. I'm honestly disgusted. I'm disgusted not even on principle of whether I support or don't support the reform. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted because you have how many seats in the parliament again? Assemblée nationale. Yo, thanks for this. Thanks for the sub on YouTube, Genevieve James. Appreciate it. All right, how many votes again on? How many seats? 577. So, because I'm an idiot, let's do a quick 577 divided by 200. What was 79? Wait. That's not the that's not the calculation I wanted to do. And it was 278, not 279. Divided by 577. Okay. Huh. Well, it is less. It is not a majority. It is not a majority. They haven't been able. The opposition hasn't been able to actually get so supposedly the opposition parties in total have 318 seats, and indeed the government Macron's government in power does not have the votes to pass laws normally democratically, but there's not enough deputies who actually believe in overthrowing the government as a necessary measure. Which I can understand. It definitely would be pretty much a shit show politically it would cause a lot of problems, but I'm honestly disappointed. I'm disappointed that it's so easy for to just go above and beyond the separation of powers that is one of the fundamental tenets of a functioning democracy. You have the the executive branch overruling the legislative branch and doing so with impunity. The only possible punishment would have been the success of the vote of no confidence, and it hasn't succeeded. And so this is the 10th time, if I recall correctly, that the Macron's government has used this circumvention of the legislative branch. To be fair, oh shit, I hadn't realized the history though of this stupid ass law. So the law 49.3 was used 99 times since 1958. Michel Rocard, in between 1988 and 1991, used it 28 times for 13 different laws. However, nowadays it is Elisabeth Borne, who represents Macron's government in the parliament, has used it for the 100th time in the Fifth Republic. Oh well, we live in a society. That's what we're seeing. We live in a society. All right, where are we at in the coverage? So yeah.
Mais si tel était le cas, il y avait la
People are going to be pissed about this. There's going to be protests because of this. Yeah, this is live from Place Vauban in Paris. People are already out on the streets.
Et on pouvait aller au-delà. Là, en ayant décidé d'aller au 49.3 jusqu'à cette motion de censure qui est battue, mais à quelques voix près, c'est pas le scénario que vous décrivez. Hein.
Et on retrouve tout de suite Aurélien Pradier. Excusez-moi, puisque la liaison est établie en direct de l'Assemblée nationale. Merci d'être avec nous, Monsieur Pradier. Vous êtes l'homme par qui le gouvernement...
All the cops.
Ce soir, ça se joue à quelques voix, mais il ne tombe pas. Quelle est votre réaction? 9 voix.
C'est une réaction de respect de nos institutions. La motion de censure a été votée, elle n'a pas eu de majorité, et donc.
Okay, so this guy is a deputy from the Republican Party, which is pretty much the same as like the main Republican Party in the U.S. They're like
je pense que la gravité dont j'ai pu parler,
basically right wing, like smack dab in the middle of the right.
La gravité démocratique, la gravité politique, elle est là. Il est évident aujourd'hui que le gouvernement a un problème.
So he's talking about respect for institutions.
Ne peut pas rester spectateur de cette situation, et je garde la même gravité que celle que j'avais ce matin avant d'aller voter pour la motion de censure. Je savais à quel point cet épisode-là ne réglerait rien. Désormais, il faut un sursaut, et je le dis clairement au président de la République. Cette loi sur les retraites, ce texte-là, il est empoisonné. Nous ne pourrons pas rebâtir.
He did vote for the overthrow of the government, but he saw my respect for institutions, respect for the vote. The vote didn't pass, so that is that.
Lorsqu'on est président de la République, on a un devoir, un impératif. C'est l'unité de la nation.
And he has a message for the president of the republic, saying that this law, this reform, is poison, and that he's warning the president that he's shirking his responsibilities towards the French people.
Vous évoquez un texte
that this is just the start.
Même si c'est à 9 voix près.
Oui, vous avez raison. C'est d'ailleurs pour ça que je me rallie derrière le vote. Mais enfin, tout de même, il faudrait être absolument aveugle pour se contenter et se satisfaire de cette situation. Sont 9 voix.
So he's saying that indeed he supports he defends the legality of the vote. What he defends what happened. However, you would have to be blind not to realize that the vote being this close is a message and is a very important one.
Jusqu'à ce vote ric-rac. Tout cela, c'est la conséquence de semaines, de mois, d'années durant lesquelles le peuple français s'est senti méprisé. Il y a aujourd'hui une
He's
déconnexion.
talking about the French people
Et je ne pourrais
feeling
pas être un député responsable si je ne vous disais pas que tout ça
despised
profondément.
by the
Voilà, nous en
government,
sommes
feeling
aujourd'hui.
condescended
Il va falloir un
on.
sursaut, parce que sinon tout ça peut basculer.
That person's chilling with their beer.
L'appel au sursaut est quelque chose qu'on fait systématiquement dans la vie politique française, mais j'ai envie de vous dire tout ça pour ça, et on se demande comment on vit en ce moment, même au sein de votre formation politique, celle des Républicains.
Comment voulez-vous que l'on vive? Enfin, pardonnez-moi, mais tout ça pour ça, vous n'avez quand même pas le sentiment qu'il y a un léger problème? Vous pensez vraiment qu'après un 49-3, après des conditions de débat épouvantables à l'Assemblée nationale, le gouvernement se sent relégitimé avec 9 voix d'avance? Enfin, pardonnez-moi, mais il faudrait être ou irresponsable ou absolument cynique pour supposer que tout cela va éteindre aujourd'hui les
So the
crises
journalist asked him,
que nous avons.
all this for nothing, all the noise, all the protests, all the mobilization for nothing because the vote failed. And the deputies respond, well, I don't understand. Don't you see what's happening? Don't you see how strong the opposition is? How unhappy the people are? And that you would have to be crazy not to understand that there is a very strong sentiment against the reform and government.
Celui de près d'un tiers de mes collègues, puisque nous sommes près
Oh yeah, ciao. So the vote of no confidence failed. That's the big news for today. Failed by 9 votes. There were 278 votes for kicking out the government, and they missed by 9, which is crazy in and of itself. Like those are people. We aren't talking about like wacky insurrectionist randos. Those are people who got elected. Those are people who are part of the institutions, part of the system. And they almost overthrew the government legally.
Je pense que nous sommes à un moment de gravité démocratique absolue.
So I agree with the deputy that's being interviewed right now. He's talking about a moment of gravity in the democracy. This is a grave moment.
Macron puisse ignorer ce qui se passe.
Que demandez-vous?
The government's on thin ice.
Je l'avais fait avant la motion de censure en disant que quoi qu'il se
I honestly didn't know if it was going to pass or not. I expected it to be close, but
on aurait remplacé un autre. Je pense qu'il y a un problème aujourd'hui.
because already leading up last week, I talked about it a little bit, but leading up to the vote, we already knew that they were basically like 20-30 votes off from passing it.
Le premier acte de courage pour le président de la République, c'est de retirer ce texte, de remettre tout le monde autour de la table, que nous
So
retravaillions.
this deputy is calling for Macron to back off, take the text back to the drawing board, and try something different, try a compromise, try a different approach, which is not going to happen. At the end of the day, this vote means Macron's victory when it comes to the battle for passing this law.
Maintenant, on votait cette motion de censure. Laurent Neumann vous pose une question.
Oui, justement, ces 278 voix qui se sont portées pour cette motion de censure, Aurélien Pradier, ces 278 députés sont issus de formations politiques qui n'ont rien en commun. Le RN, la NUPES, avec ses différentes...
So the journalist is bringing up the fact that those 278 votes that were voted for the vote of no confidence are from all across the political aisle. Macron being the representative of centrist party, those votes have been gathered from both right-wing, far-right, left-wing, far-left parties. You have the names of deputies from xenophobic far-right parties as well as the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, all of them voting for the same thing. In the short term, but doesn't this show a bad trend for him? Yes. I think Macron, just as he has been for a long time in his government, is playing with fire. Playing with the fire that I specifically see him playing with is that of radicalization in the French politics. He's already barely beaten Marine Le Pen in the last presidential elections by barely a few percentage points. All he's creating with this is his last term. He will be able to run again, if I recall correctly, but But he needs to let there be a term between his term right now and the next time he tries to run.
Puisque nous le savons désormais, soit retiré, réétudié.
But yeah, this is his last term. So obviously he himself, if all he cares about is his personal power and his personal influence, he doesn't really care. This is his last term. He will be out of government regardless. But if he cares about the nation, if he cares about radicalization in French politics, this is dangerous. It's a dangerous game because his successor to this centrist approach for French politics will have to deal with half the country hating his guts. We'll have to deal with people maybe not being willing to vote against the far right this time when he runs up against Marine Le Pen. This is Mélenchon, the leader of the left coalition. Jean-Luc, yeah.
Le moment est venu de passer à la censure populaire.
He's calling for the popular vote of no confidence, now that the parliamentary vote of no confidence has failed. Basically calling for popular pressure, protests, strikes.
Je forme le vœu que cette censure populaire s'exprime massivement, en tout lieu, en toutes circonstances, et qu'elle nous permette d'obtenir le retrait du texte parce que cet objectif reste sur la table.
He wishes that this popular vote of no confidence express itself in every place, in every manner, all across France, and that it leads to the reversal of the reform of the retirement age.
Par les méthodes ne sert strictement à rien de gémir au pied du prince pour lui demander de retirer la loi. Il faut que le peuple s'en mêle et c'est ce qu'il va faire.
Nothing. It serves no purpose to cry at the feet of the prince. He's talking about Macron. We need to. He's saying that we need to force his hand in order to make him back off with this law project.
Conscience de ce qui se passe dans la profondeur du pays et il administre davantage qu'il gouverne. Gouverner, ce n'est pas seulement appliquer des règles abstraites, c'est comprendre ce qui se passe, c'est entendre ce que les gens disent, que vous les.
He's accusing Macron of not leading but administrating the country, not being, not listening to the people.
À une confrontation, à une déchirure entre les.
Leading to a confrontation, tearing apart of French society.
Une institution n'a une légitimité que si elle est reconnue, admise, consentie. Ce n'est pas le cas.
He's saying that the French institutions are losing legitimacy and creating a powder keg in French society.
Mes amis de la NUPES et des Insoumis ont déposé un recours au Conseil constitutionnel, mais il y en aurait pour plus d'un mois si le gouvernement ne demande pas une décision rapide.
The French party has petitioned the Constitutional Court.
Alors c'est encore plus long, ça.
I doubt anything will come out of that. It's probably just a symbolic gesture, honestly.
Il va être question de céder. Ce n'est pas la bonne idée de se laisser voler 2 ans de vie par 9 voix de pure circonstance politicienne. Voilà où nous en sommes. Et par conséquent, il faut en assumer tous les devoirs. Il faut par la grève, par la manifestation, par le rassemblement.
He's once again calling for strikes, for protests, for popular movements to stay strong.
Emmanuel Macron devrait prendre la parole pour tenter de clore cette séquence. Est-ce qu'il faut encore apaiser la colère qu'il y a dans...
La seule façon qu'il aurait de le faire serait de retirer le texte. C'est agréable pour personne.
The journalist asked how should Macron appease the opposition. Mélenchon responds by saying that the only way to appease them would be to take the text, to roll the text back.
Le pays s'y retrouve, bon an mal an, plus ou moins bien, mais qui s'y retrouve et qu'on puisse repartir d'un autre pas, que de s'enfoncer chaque jour un peu plus à l'initiative du président lui-même, car c'est lui qui est responsable de tout ça. Dans une crise dont personne ne voit le bout.
He is calling out Macron as being the responsible for the crisis that the country is going through.
Le bout aujourd'hui. Voilà ce qu'il doit nous dire.
It's a blue shirt,
Et je
you know.
reprends la discussion s'il estime qu'il est nécessaire de la reprendre.
Vous appelez au pouvoir de la rue. On a vu que les manifestations pouvaient de temps en temps partir un petit peu de manière assez violente. Est-ce que vous craignez qu'il puisse y avoir des violences irréversibles?
Mais bien sûr que, comme tout le monde, je les crains, d'autant qu'elles surgissent parfois si opportunément qu'on finit par avoir des doutes. Bien sûr, mais on ne peut pas faire l'avis d'un peuple sur la crainte d'une poignée qui n'entend aucune consigne. L'avis du peuple, je demande qu'on l'entende à cette heure.
Anyways, regardless of the rest of the interview, Blackwood, you're asking me, why aren't I out protesting? Don't I like freedom? I hadn't realized the vote of no confidence was today. Covering the protests would be interesting. Oh shit! Are they fucking burning the trash can? Oh god. It would have been an interesting stream, but this is interesting too because we're actually getting to look into see the interviews with the politicians and look into it from a more, I guess, like news academic perspective. Would have been interesting to see it on the ground as well, of course. Maybe over the next couple of days I'll try to live stream one of the protests. Did the vote come through? What happened? No, the vote failed by 9 votes. They got 278 votes. They needed 287 in order to overthrow the government. Fuck recycling. It's actually kind of funny that they're burning the trash cans because right now Paris is absolutely covered in trash because the trash collector agencies, their workers are striking.
Dans le camp présidentiel, à l'instant, des députés disaient, bon bah voilà.
Wait, why are they protesting? Is there a baguette shortage or something? So what they're protesting is the reform of the retirement system. Specifically, the main problem, the thing that most people have a problem with, is raising the minimum retirement age from 62 to 64. Who are those 9 people? And there's a lot of. It wasn't 9 specific people who didn't vote. Wait, a better question is why is it so divided? I thought like most of the population agreed with this. Most of the parliament is the opposition to the government, but the vote of no confidence is more than just blocking the law. If this vote of no confidence was just blocking the law, it would have won. The problem is this vote of no confidence causes an overthrow of the government. If this vote passed, Macron's government needs to give up. Macron needs to leave his government, or something that's being proposed as a potential out for Macron is if the vote of no confidence passes, Macron could dissolve the parliament using his extraordinary executive powers, and then the new parliament would be voted in, and the new parliament would do another vote of no confidence, and at that point, if that one passes, Macron's government gets kicked out. But we're talking about legal overthrow of the government. I think a lot of deputies who oppose this law don't have the appetite for the political chaos that would ensue. Sounds like dictatorship if you can do that. Well, what does it sound like when the president can force a law to pass even though the parliament has voted no on the law? What does that sound like to you? I understand that there are such things like, for example, the U.S. executive orders, and there is a lot of leeway afforded to the executive branch. But this law that that Macron's government has been using and, in my own personal opinion, abusing, it literally permits them to ignore the legislative branch of the country. The only response that the legislative branch has to Macron's government calling upon this law is the vote of no confidence. It's the only recourse in the way the law is written, the way the Constitution is written. And this recourse, well, as we saw, it's very, very close, but there is not enough to overthrow the government on it. Do you not have a Supreme Court? There is a constitutional court, and in fact, since the vote of no confidence failed, the left coalition has stated that they are writing an appeal to the Constitutional Court. I sincerely doubt that that appeal will be of much use. But at the very least, this is a symbolic gesture, and who knows, maybe they will find a flaw in the way the law is written.
Donc situation particulièrement tendue, on est bien d'accord, avenue de Villars, au moment.
So right now we're seeing a live footage of the people coming out to protest against the failure of the vote of no confidence. And of course against the reform.
On a entendu tout à l'heure au microphone les forces de l'ordre qui ont demandé aux manifestants de partir. Après, en fait, à chaque fois, ce qui est difficile, c'est que les forces de l'ordre souhaitent les faire partir par petits groupes, par groupe de 10, tout simplement, en fait, pour casser ce noyau de personnes.
So since those protests are impromptu, there has been, if I understand correctly, there has been no official protest like legally filed with the police. The police are going to try to break apart this popular movement right now.
Aucune des deux motions de censure déposées n'ayant été adoptée, le projet de loi de financement rectificatif de la sécurité sociale pour 2023, compte tenu du texte de la commission mixte paritaire modifié par l'amendement déposé.
Hey, so this is live from the Parliament.
Comme adopté.
She's declaring that the reform is adopted. Since the vote of no confidence failed, like I said, that was the only recourse to stop the law from being adopted by executive order. And, well, now the law is part of French law, part of French text. Unless the only, even with the solicitation of the Constitutional Court, that will be a process, and that doesn't mean that the law hasn't been adopted. All it means is that maybe at some point the Constitutional Court will look at it and be like, oh, well, actually this law is unconstitutional. I can understand why no confidence vote could be risky. Lots of malicious actors ready to rise to power in the chaos, but I think this might be too important of a law to ignore.
À partir de jeudi en particulier, selon la participation que on pourra.
I think, honestly, I know this is going to be a hot take. I think this law is irrelevant. In practicality, this law is actually irrelevant. Most people who are looking at pursuing a career in France and eventually retiring in France, they weren't going to retire early anyways. They were going to retire at 67 years in order to get the full retirement age package. Secondly, the retirement budget issues. At the end of the day, freeing up more budget for other things in French government is something that makes sense. My issue with that is that Macron's government did not transparently state, like, hey, we need to free up money to pay back like COVID bailout debt. We need to shore up our social systems, etc., etc. But that would be a good reason to free up funding from the retirement fund. Finally, the truth is, this is not something that, this is more like an issue that crystallizes the dissatisfaction for a lot of young French people. The reality is that there have been billions, if not trillions, of euros of value that have been accumulated. Oh wait, let me finish this rant in a bit. Let's hear Marine Le Pen's take.
Je note quand même que la motion de censure déposée par Elliott a atteint 278 voix, ce qui permet de dire que le vent du boulet n'est pas passé loin quand même.
So she's saying that we can at least say it was very close. It's not as if nothing happened.
Beaucoup plus serré que ce qui avait été annoncé.
A much closer result than what was predicted.
C'est la moindre des choses. Car s'il ne le fait pas après la séquence que nous venons de vivre, après le 49.3 qui a été utilisé, la gifle sera double pour le peuple français.
She's saying the least.
Nous avons déposé une motion de censure en quelque sorte de sécurité pour que, quelles que soient les circonstances, il y en ait une qui puisse être votée. Celle-ci a réuni d'ailleurs plus de voix que les simples voix du Rassemblement national et nous en félicitons. Nous notons que ce soir, ce sont un certain nombre de LR, pas tous.
She's calling for Macron to ask Elizabeth Borne to resign.
Du gouvernement.
She's saying it's the least the government could do. given how close the vote was.
Assumer les conséquences devant les électeurs lors des prochaines élections.
She's saying the consequences will be felt for the next elections.
Toutes les élections qui viendront. Parce qu'en faisant cela,
and for all following elections.
La tête du gouvernement de Emmanuel Macron, eh bien, CLR, qui sont somme toute moins nombreux que ce qu'on imaginait, eh bien, se sont clairement positionnés dans la majorité d'Emmanuel Macron.
She's calling out the Republican Party, for aligning with Macron's government.
Une motion de censure qui est en tout cas rejetée à 9 voix, c'est très peu.
Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Bourne. Elizabeth Bourne is the. I forgot. Is she the? I think she's the House Speaker, basically, to like translate from American terms.
Français un nouveau gouvernement.
Dans lequel. Est-ce que vous pensez qu'une sortie de Madame Borne, une sortie d'une partie...
She's the representative of Macron's government in Parliament, basically.
Je suis sûr que la crise ne sera pas réglée s'il ne le fait pas. Voilà. Est-ce que ce sera suffisant? Probablement non, puisque en réalité.
She was asked if Macron concedes on this. Passes on forcing the law through, would it stop the crisis? She's saying it would help, but probably not. Her party is also going to seize the Constitutional Council, the Constitutional Court. So there will be now there will be two demands for the Constitutional Court to look at the situation. Macron should ask Biden to resign. True.
S'attache au fond. Et le fond consistait à s'opposer à la réforme des retraites et à censurer le gouvernement qui s'est particulièrement mal tenu au cours de ce débat. Mais je n'oublie pas une chose tout de même à l'issue de cette séquence.
Yeah, I understand the meme of passing without vote is the thing that needs to change ASAP so this doesn't happen again. Yeah, it's a weird ultimatum. You either let the law through, or you dismantle the government. It's crazy.
Il porte donc quand même une grosse responsabilité.
As a whole, French politics seems much more American than the UK shit show. Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment.
La République devrait très probablement s'exprimer dans les prochains jours. Qu'est-ce que vous attendez de sa parole? Est-ce que
what does she expect from Macron's response in the following days?
Qu'est-ce que vous attendez très franchement?
Objectivement rien.
Objectively nothing.
On attend d'Emmanuel Macron.
It's been 6 years that we've expected things from Macron.
Totalement sourd aux aspirations.
And we now know he's absolutely deaf to our demands and our needs.
Dans mes rêves les plus fous, j'attendrais qu'il.
In my craziest dreams, I would want him to run a referendum, so he could see that the people oppose his reform. Not just that the majority of deputies oppose it.
C'est important que la retraite des Français, qui touche par définition des dizaines de millions de nos compatriotes, eh bien, on va à l'expression la plus directement démocratique, qui est le référendum.
Mais en même temps,
she's calling for the most direct and democratic procedure, the referendum.
Le Parlement adopte cette réforme des retraites.
Mais ils se trompent de procédure et ils essayent de laver leurs fautes.
The journalist asked something about how this means that the reform is adopted.
Parce qu'ils savaient que le texte allait être rejeté. Ils ne peuvent pas aujourd'hui dire que la motion de censure équivaut au rejet du texte.
And she's saying, well, the fact that this motion of the vote of no confidence was rejected is no one can pretend anymore that it's an approval of the law.
Parce qu'ils savaient que le texte allait être rejeté.
She denies the legitimacy of the text coming into law, basically.
Par le résultat de ce soir, et puis encore une fois, le résultat de ce soir, il n'est pas brillant pour le gouvernement.
And she reminds that tonight's result, despite being a victory for the government, is not a success.
Ça avait été envisagé dans les différents comptages faits par les analystes politiques ou par les journalistes. Donc ça veut donc dire que même si mathématiquement le résultat, ils peuvent s'en réjouir, politiquement, ils ne peuvent pas s'en réjouir. vous remercie.
Merci.
Marine Le Pen.
Imagine Le Pen being more reasonable than you. She's been really good. She has been really good she's been really good at presenting herself as a reasonable voice. I've been harping about this for years, but need I remind you that during the debate with Macron's Minister of Interior, Darmanin, Darmanin was telling Le Pen that she's too soft on Islam, when she's the representative of the party that traditionally has been the party of Islamophobia. Her party has been the party of war crimes in Algeria, of her fucking father fought in Algeria, and God knows what he did there.
Mais pour l'instant, les manifestants ne semblent pas vouloir respecter.
I see UK politics and I'm so confused how they do anything. French politicians seem to actually wield power. Yeah, UK politics look like a shit show from the outside. French protests over 2 years of work, but can't protest to end their imperialist exploitation of Africa SMH. True, but also, like, what? Come on. Everyone cares about what happens in their own courtyard more than what happens across the pond. That's a sad reality. But I agree. It's a good moment for her, yes. My one and main fear is that this situation will radicalize the French people further. When you realize that she barely lost the presidential elections. If Macron cannot run again, and for the next elections, she will definitely run. I expect this to prop her up as the next president of France, honestly. Okay, now they're explaining how the police is approaching the protest to disperse it. I don't quite understand. Was this not democratic? Do they just disagree with the pension changes, or is this a real challenge to the constitutionality of Macron's actions? So it depends what you mean by democratic. The problem is that the parliament did not pass the law. The law was not voted through. The legislative branch does not approve of this law. If you believe in separation of powers as one of the founding democratic principles, this whole procedure is non-democratic. Now, technically, there is a law under the French Fifth Republic which allows the executive branch to force a law through without a vote. The executive branch can force a law through. The only response that the legislative branch has is to go for a vote of no confidence. This vote of no confidence, if it wins, it means dismantling the current government and running new elections. So it's basically an ultimatum. It's, do you actually hate this law that much that you're willing to throw the whole country into chaos? And the vote of no confidence failed by 9 votes, basically. It was legal. I wouldn't call it democratic. And I assume there is no other popular option after Macron. So selfish. He hasn't really set up a successor for himself. In fact, most of the people within his government have been used as foils to attract the anger of French people. Darmanin has served as a foil for far-right voters by, or rather maybe as a foil for left voters by appealing to far-right voters. At various different moments, generally when bad news is to be announced, Macron stays very far away from it, and it's one of the people of his government who has to announce it. It's been his strategy since the beginning, and he's been but the advantage is it helps protect him. The disadvantage is it doesn't really set up a clear successor. Everyone who hates Macron hates the members of his government even more. I told you they wouldn't kick out Mackey's Manu. Yeah, it was close though. It was really close. 9 votes is not a lot.
Sur une opération de ce type?
C'est généralement au-delà du millier de policiers, alors tout effectif confondu entre les.
Okay, seems like there's some. I don't understand who are. Oh, there's Waldo. Waldo is protesting. Yo. Waldo's supporting the French people. Let's go. So if the vote failed, what can be done? Is it guillotine time? Well, that is what Jean-Luc Mélenchon, representative of the left coalition, called for. Not guillotine, but he's called for pursuit of what he's called symbolically the popular vote of no confidence. He's called for continuing the strikes, continuing the protests, continuing the social movements, continuing the pressure on the government, hoping that since parliamentary procedures didn't succeed, that the people's pressure will succeed. And also, both the left coalition and Marine Le Pen's Rassemblement National have declared that they are petitioning the Constitutional Court to see if it can overturn the law. She just secured her term then? Well, rip, yeah. I wish Brazil would protest like France. There's so many shitty-ass things being done by the government, but we're very complacent. I don't know how do you develop this culture without getting Bolsonaro/extremism. I don't know. It's not like the protests necessarily work either. Mélenchon is unhinged. Yeah, there are things I like with him, but there are a lot of things I hate with him as a politician.
Qui n'était pas prévu, même s'il est anticipé par les forces de police, on l'a bien compris, et qu'on voit des députés sont descendus.
Oh, so those are indeed deputies in the protest. There are deputies standing with the protesters, even though this is an impromptu illegal protest. They are out on the streets with them. Interesting. Damn, that would have been a sick interview for the stream. Okay, now I regret not being there.
D'organisation de la protestation par des acteurs politiques, et ça, pour moi...
Là, on est dans une manifestation politique après un vote à l'Assemblée nationale. Je veux dire, je serais tenté de vous dire, on n'a pas à être totalement étonné au fait que ça échappe à l'intersyndicale.
Oui, mais en même temps, on n'a pas entendu d'ailleurs les syndicalistes encore.
That's the kind of the conclusion people had in 2014, that going into the streets is jack shit. I think I still need to read that paper that Chao sent me, but my understanding basically is that protesting doesn't really protesting doesn't do that much, but protesting plus strikes, that is real pressure, that is praxis.
C'est la deuxième rencontre aujourd'hui entre elle et Emmanuel Macron.
But now everyone avoids politics like the plague. Yeah.
Quoi en conclure?
Yeah, I'm still considering my transition to a full-time Valorant streamer. No more politics.
Les réponses politiques à apporter. Il faut dire que aujourd'hui, Elisabeth Borne est factuellement confortée.
Oh yeah. Also, Kino, you were talking about my shirt. Let me go full. Let me go full fucking.
Ne concluons jamais trop tôt.
Non, jamais.
That's praxis, lib praxis, easy. Stand your ground in the city center on weekends doesn't achieve much. Widespread roadblocks is the only way. There's stuff in between, right? Strikes are the classic people's political praxis. We've had strikes from garbage workers. We have strikes from in all sorts of fields. Right now, some of the most important infrastructural strikes have been electricity workers cutting electricity off from like politicians' homes, literally. We have people in the oil companies striking. There will be no more gas in a lot of gas stations over the course of the next week. Protesting is a threat of solidarity. Strikes and riots come next, and the assembly, the hardest bit is proven. Yeah, I agree. Alright, let me show off how dapper I can be.
Et que d'un autre côté, il n'y a pas d'alternative dans la mesure où, même si les oppositions deviennent de façon visible majoritaires, ce sont des oppositions contradictoires et hostiles entre elles. Autrement dit, on n'a pas de majorité et on n'a pas une opposition susceptible de devenir majoritaire. Et si par exemple, ce qui est tout à fait envisageable, il y avait une dissolution, la dissolution, ça
There you go. Now I look like Nick Fuentes with the fucking suit and a shirt.
Encore plus relative.
Or Ben Shapiro, yeah, like every single like political commentator with the suit and the shirt.
Mais ça ne serait pas du tout une solution durable. Et c'est bien pourquoi la prochaine étape politique, je ne dis pas la prochaine
étape,
mais la prochaine étape politique, c'est forcément une initiative d'Emmanuel Macron.
You look so smart now. Wow. Yeah. I was actually wondering, I forgot to wear it, actually. I was going to start the stream with it, since we're going to cover politics anyways, and I wanted to see if like the image thing works. If I get like people to listen to me more. I'll try it for a little bit. You're almost as smart as Ben Shapiro now. Wowee, exactly. Got glasses, so I'm actually smarter.
Oui, tout à fait, hein, c'est exactement ça, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a ces membres du corps politique...
Was that Mike from PA suit when he flirted with Bad Bunny? Oh no! Hey, look. I saw that clip with Bad Bunny, and I'm sorry, my suit fits me a million times better than Mike from PA's.
Et elle nous disait que pour elle, elle n'entendait pas que la motion de censure ne soit pas passée à seulement 9 voix. Alors je l'ai interrogée, je lui ai demandé, oui, mais est-ce que ça veut dire que vous validez cette occupation de la rue, car c'est une occupation qui est illégale? Et elle nous a dit qu'en effet, elle...
It actually looks really good, okay? It fits me to a T.
Elle appelait à un renouvellement de ce type d'action, et c'est d'ailleurs ce que veulent les manifestants.
The blazer and jeans combo, the drip keeps on coming.
Par des actions de plus en plus inattendues, parce qu'ils s'organisent par des groupes, notamment...
Just don't punch the couch on stream, no. I'm pretty sure if I tried to punch something, I would rip the suit, because it's so tight. It's like really well fitted.
La rue et de faire des actions significatives où ils peuvent ramener un maximum.
Pro tip, by the way. Pro tip: if you have a blazer, if you have like a shirt and stuff, it costs like it will cost you like $15 max to get them fitted. Okay, go find the, at least here in Paris. I think it's like a common thing. You go find like not like the tailor who'll do you like a bespoke suit and they're like really fucking expensive and stuff like that. Go find like the hole in the wall place that'll do it for fucking $10. They'll do like all your clothes, and they'll look like 10 times better on you. Like even like cheapo clothes from anywhere, it's better to have like a cheap fitted suit than some like expensive thing that's like ooh blah blah blah, but it's not fitted.
Donc,
oh yeah, and I would scare the cat.
Un blocage politique en direct.
Oh, she's on the chair.
Dans
okay.
les jours qui viennent. Et
yeah, I'm hiding her.
Je répète, ce qui est compliqué, c'est qu'à la fois.
Okay, Elizabeth Born to be alive, is determined to continue. We need some thumbnails now. Yeah. Oh yeah. We need some blazer thumbnails. True. I was actually thinking of maybe getting like a cheap green screen, just so it would be easier to like make thumbnails or like emotes and stuff like that. I know there's like some really cheap ones on Amazon. Seems like a good investment.
Comment dirais-je, presque inéluctable, cette spirale descendante que vous êtes en train d'évoquer.
Moi, je donne la parole à Sophie Binet de la CGT qui nous a rejoint et qui assistait donc à ces manifestations.
Photoshop can crop it so easily. I know.
Oui, non, mais je crois que Emmanuel Macron, en utilisant le 49.3, il a fait le choix d'ajouter à la crise.
But like for animated GIFs, for example, it's a lot simpler.
Il était président des riches, maintenant c'est le président du chaos, en plus.
So this lady, Sophie Binet, member of the CGT, which is one of the main French unions, is saying that Macron is not a president of the people, but a president of chaos.
Donc évidemment que maintenant il y a une crise politique et institutionnelle qui est ouverte par la situation, mais le sujet et la solution, c'est toujours le retrait de la réforme des retraites et il faut.
Of course, there is a political and social crisis because of the situation, but the solution is simply to roll back the retirement reform.
Parce que la 5e République, elle a été écrite pour avoir un.
There's Liz Warren, yeah.
Et les règles sur la motion de censure font que c'est quasiment inatteignable. En fait, c'est pas pour rien que c'est seulement une fois depuis 1962 qu'il y a une motion de censure qui a pu être votée. Par contre, ce qui est.
She calls out the fact that with the 49.3 law that allows them to force laws through,
qui dit on va regarder pour
that the conditions to block a law passing are almost unattainable. Indeed, you need a majority of the parliament to be ready to throw the country into political chaos. That's what I was saying. It would require a majority in parliament ready to overthrow the government.
À nos confrères de l'agence France Presse. D'abord, la meilleure attaque, c'est.
It's happened only once since 1962 that the vote of no confidence passed.
Ce vote cet après-midi à l'Assemblée plutôt par ces 2 votes. Et puis, c'est important, elle s'inscrit dans le temps long, Elisabeth Borne, alors qu'on parle depuis tout à l'heure du fait qu'elle soit fragilisée, qu'elle pourrait rester oui ou non à Matignon, elle le dit, je reste déterminé à apporter les transformations.
One of the political pundits from BFM TV.
Aujourd'hui, elle l'est et elle restera à son poste.
On marque une pause très
He's predicting that she will not resign from that Elizabeth Bourne. Jesus Christ, it's Liz Bourne. Yeah, he's predicting that Mrs. Bourne will not resign from her post.
C'est pour ça que je me lève tous les matins.
Oh, nice.
Je mets l'écoute et l'humain au centre.
This fire. Oh, never mind. I thought we were getting some dank commercials.
pour faire le point de la situation ce soir. Édition spéciale, bien entendu, sur BFM TV.
C'est pour ça que je me lève.
Oh, now we're getting the dank commercials.
Pour ça,
Okay.
je mets l'écoute et l'humain au centre de tout.
Et elle restera à son poste.
Oh no, the stream's bugged. Okay, we're in the loop. We're stuck. Let me refresh it. Oh yeah, there's some French ads. There you go. This is what you wanted, right?
Franchement, je sais pas où on va là.
Non, des cerises en hiver.
Là, je sais pas où on va. En fait, le truc.
Amazing. All right. Any questions? Any askers?
C'est que je sais pas où on va.
Faites demi-tour.
Ah bah là, je sais pas où on va.
So let's see, is there any other like textual news down here? So the far-right party's vote of no confidence call hasn't yet been voted on, but it's going to lose. If the main one lost, the second one's going to lose as well, especially from the RN party. Emmanuel Macron has he's made a statement already. He hoped that the reform could.
Il se lève tôt. Soyez les premiers informés.
Okay.
Merci d'être avec nous.
Okay, so Sophie told me that this is a statement from before. From last week, he was hoping that the reform could reach the end of its democratic process. I loathe to call the 49.3 procedure democratic, but okay, if that's that's obviously how he's going to present it. After the Parliament adopted the reform of retirement after the rejection of both votes of no confidence. Okay, so they already voted, the far-right parties voted no confidence. Never mind. Minister of Work Olivier Dussopt wrote on his Twitter account that he is concentrated on putting into place in the best conditions for the putting the law into place, making the law take effect in the best conditions for the insured. Or concentrate on the. All right, and then the administration is already moving. That's basically the statement he's making. The administration is already moving to make it a reality. When am I moving home to the U.S.? When the retirement hits 90? Yes. Dude, look, we're never retiring, okay? We're never retiring. We were born in the wrong generation to actually enjoy old age. I'm fucking black-pilled on that. Elizabeth Bourne says that she is determined to continue to go through with the necessary transformations. She's declared to the AFP. François Bayrou, the chief of the Modem party, has declared that this reform was vital and this obligation of justice made it vital. So he absolutely supported the reform. He's called out the people saying that the budget of the retirement was balanced, saying it's a joke and an immoral lie. Guillotines are the solution. This is super fucking cringe.
Le gouvernement n'a pas été renversé. Soit le projet de loi sur la réforme des retraites a été adopté, soit, mais à quel prix?
Bon, c'est un vote serré. Et ce n'est pas un triomphe de qui que ce soit. Parce que le débat, la coloration du débat que Patrick Cohen a décrit très bien entre les lignes, le tour que les choses ont pris n'est pas satisfaisant. Il y a une phrase qui m'a intéressé.
Wait, why is someone cooking in the background? What is this show? What, dude? What is going on in France? Why do we have like a political talk show with some like chef cooking something? Let them cook, but dude, this is incredible. This is a brilliant idea. Yeah. So Sophie, come cook in the background. She like preparing food. All right.
Je voudrais réagir dans les interventions. Réforme ni nécessaire ni juste, a dit l'une des intervenantes.
Oh, okay. So he's responding to someone else on the show who said that the reform is neither necessary nor just.
Cette réforme était vitale. Je vais essayer.
And this is where he says this reform was vital,
de dire pourquoi
meaning necessary.
Et la plus juste, et si je puis dire, cette obligation de justice la rendait vitale.
It was an obligation of justice, he says, turning back the use of the word just at his opponent in the discussion. Got to get the Zoomers to watch. Need to add TikTok clips as well. Imagine 1/3 of the screen is Subway Surfer. Dude, Denims has been doing this. I've actually been thinking about doing it as well. Because it's like actually a fucking big-brained idea. Yeah, I need to just go on YouTube. What's like the longest one? Here, let's go. Mute it. There you go. And then I make the text smaller. Let him cook. It's big brain, but it gives me ADHD. Me too. But that's what makes it work. That's actually what makes it work. Okay, let's see if we can reload the player. Oh, no, it's still on ads. There you go. Cringe. Oh no, you're responding to the landphobe. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I know what he's saying basically. Is this maximum volume? God, he's so silent. He's so silent.
N'a pas su l'expliquer. Je
oui,
le reconnais.
Il y a eu échec à convaincre.
Je le reconnais.
On vous en écoute avec intérêt, François Bayrou, mais c'est un peu tard là pour défendre la réforme.
Non, ça n'est pas tard parce que, comme vous savez, avec le commissariat au plan, j'ai publié une note pour précisément apporter la preuve de ce que je dis.
En décembre.
On a entendu ici ou là que les retraites étaient équilibrées. C'est une blague et c'est un mensonge immoral.
Even with 2 mics, he's still silent, yeah. Oh god, I just noticed. Oh my god. Even with 2 mics, we still barely hear him. Dude, go practice. Jesus Christ. He's been like a politician for 100 fucking years. W France? Well, it depends. I don't think it's a W. I don't even necessarily oppose a reform of retirement age. Like, you know, the demographics, we're living older, we're in better health until we're older, etc., etc. Like, okay. I'm okay with a discussion about it. I'm not okay with the way it's happening. I think the 49.3 procedure is undemocratic and undermines the separation of powers in the state. The executive order. Yeah, I believe that the way the executive orders work under the French Constitution is undemocratic and undermines the separation of powers. It is a very, very problematic, in my opinion. He's dual-wielding the mics, yeah.
Dès aujourd'hui, l'État, le contribuable, verse entre 30 et 40 milliards d'euros par an pour les équilibrer.
Ce qu'on a répété ici de nombreuses fois sur le plateau de CNews.
Non, mais si vous l'avez fait, c'est bien parce que beaucoup de gens ne l'ont pas fait.
Patrick Cohen.
Mais Patrick Cohen a de très bonnes lectures et je le félicite pour ça.
Okay, so he's basically going into details about how there's what was it, 30 to 40 billions of euros of taxpayer money that goes into the retirement fund every year. So my understanding is my understanding is that the budget is balanced, but it is indeed dependent on supplementary contributions from the government. It's balanced as long as those contributions stay the same. But once again, if the government wants to reduce those contributions, and in order to set aside money for other things, that is something that I actually would 100% support. Yeah, I mean, W for protesting. Okay. It needs to happen for the good of the state, but the people are against it. Do politicians work for the people or the country? It depends. That is an open question about the nature of democracy. Do we generally support the state doing things that go against the will of the people, but that is in the interest of the people? Probably yes, but there are different ways to go about it, right? There is, I think that the okay, God, this thing is actually super fucking distracting. I need to like not look at my screen. I think that there is that it's not possible to. It loses a lot of credibility when you're if you're not being entirely transparent about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. My problem with the current reform is that it's not clear to me why the government needs to free up this taxpayer money. It says that the budget is not balanced. Well, the budget is balanced as long as the government keeps putting in that much money every year. If the government doesn't want to put that money in, fine. But what is that money going towards? Is it just being saved so that we have less debt? That is one argument. I'm not even saying I agree or disagree with it, but that is one reason to do it. Are you setting aside that money for more social efforts? Are you setting aside that money to revitalize the French military-industrial complex, which the war in Ukraine has shown is weak, and that the French military logistics are weak? We're running out of ammunition, we're running out of artillery, etc., etc. All those are different reasons that are good reasons to reassign government money. You may still disagree with them, but if you want to have a true democratic process, I don't necessarily think that the government needs to have popular support for everything it does. I'll grant you that. The government doesn't need to, the government can have the authority to do things that are unpopular but necessary. I actually agree with that. What I do also think, though, is that the public debate needs to be transparent and honest, regardless of popular support. All right, okay, TV channel's back on. Woo, wait, I need to unmute it.
Au moment où on a appris que cette motion de censure n'avait pas été votée, là, il y a eu vraiment un moment très difficile, un moment compliqué où il y a eu notamment du mobilier urbain qui a été utilisé par les manifestants pour allumer des incendies. Et là, il y a eu plusieurs charges des membres des forces de l'ordre, tout simplement parce que les manifestants cherchaient à aller au contact. Depuis, avec l'arrivée...
The journalist lady is currently presenting the protest, explaining how there has been use of the
rester ici, prendre possession de la rue,
urban furniture in order to set up blockades, that there have already been confrontations with the riot police.
Ce soir ou alors dans plusieurs jours, et des actions évidemment avec beaucoup de gens pour pouvoir se faire entendre enfin par le gouvernement.
Anne-Sophie, est-ce qu'on est rentré maintenant dans une forme de meeting politique? Parce que ça a
commencé. I've seen a rise in democracy has failed us thinking among the young generation. A lot of young people are disillusioned with the political process, yes. France has extremely high levels of political despondency, especially among the younger people. And which is why, if we talk about the democratic process, it's also why, for example, Macron's party is so popular. It's people in retirement age, which is also part of the equation when it comes to this reform, who support his party and who actually go out to vote. Young people are either apolitical political, or politicized but don't believe in the process anymore.
De chanter des slogans contre la politique d'Emmanuel Macron et qui disent qu'ils sont là et qu'ils resteront là jusqu'au bout. Vous entendez ce chant qui est devenu l'un des chants que l'on entend le plus en manifestation.
Sophie Binet pour la CGT. Bon, le prochain rendez-vous qui nous est donné, donc jeudi, en tout cas pour une manif. Voilà. Comment réagissez-vous face
more on the side of humanity has failed.
Manifestation spontanée.
Ça nous étonne.
Well, that's even more cynical.
Écrit d'ailleurs, ce qui est grave, c'est qu'Emmanuel Macron le savait en actionnant le 49.3, d'abord parce qu'on lui avait dit, et puis ensuite.
So we're going back to the lady who's member of the main French union, obviously opposing the reform.
Maintenant, on a le président du chaos.
Oh no, it's the same statement she gave. Okay, we're in the news, the 24-hour news loop now. We're hearing the same interview from earlier. Surely AI can govern us better.
Elle est extrêmement simple en fait. Il faut retirer ce texte. Donc il y a des actions.
Okay, if we're looping, then there's no reason to keep on watching here, except for like news about the protests, I guess. But hey, we could just go outside and go to the protests ourselves. All right. That being said, are there any further questions, jokes, concerning what I stated? Because I guess to be okay. I guess now that I'm rereading your question, because you asked, it needs to happen for the good of the state. The thing is, I haven't heard Macron's government state what good the reform is going to accomplish when it comes to the budget. Like, yeah, okay, the retirement is over budget. So what is that money going to be used for that is better than the improved quality of life or retirement, etc., etc. Personally, I think giving a reason may be worse. Politically, you might be right politically, now that I think about it, because whatever reason you give, people will be unhappy with it. Whereas if you don't give a reason, then you can do whatever you want with it afterwards. From like a purely Machiavellian perspective, what you're saying is probably true. It's better to just have it go through, because like say he wants to free up the budget for military-industrial complex stuff. Then suddenly you'll have a lot of the opposition politicians take, like in a reactionary way, take on the opposing narrative against the idea of putting more money into the military for the for a foreign country, etc., etc. You're going to have the same discourse that's happening in the U.S. I just think, out of a principle, like a principle of ideal politics, I do believe in transparency as an important part of politics. I think Macron pulling a power play and saying "vote bitch" is better for him. I think you're right. Now that you're putting it this way, I think you're right. I'm just attached to like an ideal of governance, but in practice, your approach is probably better, and the people will march regardless. Absolutely true. I just want democracy, whatever the reason, without exceptions, even if it's for the greater good. The greater good, even if it's what's that's interesting, because usually people do concede that there is a limitation to democracy. The two main limitations to democracy are, number one, the dictatorship, the tyranny of the majority, where all you need, depending on the constitution, is like a 51% majority or a 60% majority, depends on specifics, to impose your will upon the rest of the population. And secondly, the second issue is if the popular opinion is wrong. We see that constantly when it comes to criticism of media in politics. How we've seen, since Noam Chomsky talks about manufactured consent. We've seen further down political scientists bring up the issues of money in political money in media, so on and so forth. So there are flaws, and the popular opinion makes what is right in democracy. There are reasons why most institutions that we call democratic do have exceptional measures that allow changes, allow political action that goes against popular opinion, as antithetical, as weird as it sounds. Yeah, it goes back to the point, who the government is meant to serve, the people or themselves. Obviously, it's meant to serve the people, right? But what if the people are doing a disservice to themselves, is then the question. But it's a fair point, where it's a fair perspective to be an absolutist about this. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there is like there is a debate to be had. let me put it that way. Oh. Yo, Thinking Sabercat, how are you doing? Ooh, is France clamping down on TikTok? Not to my knowledge, no. What France is clamping down on is the passing of the reform, of the retirement age reform. Specifically, France is the vote of no confidence against Macron's government, which was the only recourse that the parliament had against the law passing, failed by 9 votes. So the law has passed. I view it more of a rhetorical failure of leadership than a real limitation of democracy. Just talk better, forehead. Sure. What the fuck? Oh yeah, this is the true TikTok experience. Like/subscribe with the kinetic sand. This is fucking like racing phone games. Yeah, we're heading there. We're heading straight for that, into that wall. Look, I'm cooking, okay? Let me cook. I gotta try some shit out. It's a meme, okay? Wait, what's the let him cook emote? I can't see it. It's too small on my screen. Let him cook emote. Oh, it's this. Oh shit, okay. There you go. Nice. Mom, it's a meme. Well, because Sophia's literally cooking right next to me. Manu has chatted. I appreciate his decisions. Personally, I see strong leadership as more important than keeping the people happy short term. See, once again, I don't. First off, I'm afraid of the rhetoric, though. I don't think that's the way you mean it. I'm rather afraid of the rhetoric of like strong leadership being an important thing in politics, because you have that very often where people will talk about strong leadership as if being strong is what matters. No, what matters is to make the right decisions at the end of the day. Now, if you show strength within those right decisions, I'm okay with that. But just being a strong leader is not what I want from a politician. But I imagine you don't mean it in this like strongman way, where you know how like people express admiration towards Putin or Trump or Xi Jinping, like, wow, those are such strong politicians. Well, yeah, they'll like fucking murder you for, well, not Trump, but Xi Jinping and Putin will like fucking murder you for disagreeing them. Being able to make the right decisions requires power. Le Pen couldn't pass that vote. That is true. If that is the way in which you mean it, then I understand. I was thinking you meant power in a different way, in the way that people usually mean it in this discussion. Sure, yeah. That being said, it's really fucking close. I'm nine votes away from throwing the whole country into chaos. 9 votes away from throwing the whole country into chaos. It was a huge gamble, honestly. Yeah, it's not like I think people really disagree budgets should be rearranged, just the process. In a lot of ways, yeah. That being said, a lot of people just really disagree with the law. There is a lot of... oh yeah, so this is what I was saying earlier, by the way. Fuck, I forgot I wanted to go into detail about this. My personal analysis when it comes to the situation in France, the law itself is irrelevant. So what I was saying earlier, why I say it's irrelevant, because no one retires at 62. If you try retiring at 62, most of the time you're going to get like 10% of your salary as retirement payment. I know almost no one who chooses to retire early. like all the older people I've talked to, they wait until they're 67, which, hey, guess what? That's the normal retirement age in like all Western countries, pretty much. So why do people care about this? They actually, first off, obviously, because of the reactionary opposition sentiment. A lot of people hate Macron. They see this as yet another attack upon the French social system. And that is something that really riles people up in France. However, on top of that, there is a second very, very important issue, which has nothing to do with the law, which is once again why I say the law is irrelevant. It has to do with the symbolism of the law touching upon retirement. It's that a lot of young people here in France are blackpilled when it comes to their retirement. They don't believe that they will actually get to retire. They don't believe that they will actually get to retire any kind of significant pay. The feeling for a lot of people, my generation, the next generation, is that we're basically going to be fucked between global existential issues, war in Europe, climate change, and local budgetary issues with France, the slow unraveling of social security systems, and so on and so forth. People are just pissed. People are just pissed because something I've seen show up on French Reddit is resentment towards the older people in France, resentment towards the people who are retiring in France right now, who are already retired. They've gotten to benefit from a golden age in both the French social systems, French economy. They've gotten to benefit, to reap all the benefits, and now they're basically, it's seen as a betrayal of the, it's seen as a sort of betrayal of the social contract. The people who've gotten the benefits of all those systems are now the ones using their political power to make sure that the next generations don't get those benefits. And they've not just gotten the benefits of the social systems, they've gotten the benefits of the economy itself and the way the economy was structured. I've seen some estimates concerning the amount of value that retired people have acquired over the course of their lives here in France. As you might expect, like in any Western country, real estate, there is a real estate crisis ongoing. Well, the real estate crisis amounts to billions, if not one estimate I saw was going up to trillions, but I need to fact check it. But at the very least, billions of euros of added value, added economic power going straight into retired people's money. The classic economic situation for a retired person in France is either, if they were poor, they're already dead. I've looked up the studies on demographics of retired people in France. People in lower income brackets, they die when they reach retirement age. Literally, that's what the studies show. They die within a couple years. And richer people, they are landowners. They are the people that young workers have to pay their rent to. And that is where a lot of this resentment comes. The younger people are struggling to make ends meet, working active lives, paying their rent to those retired people who are also getting the benefits from the reform and who are also getting their rent. Now, is that true in every case? Obviously not. But that is where the resentment comes from. I'm not even saying that this is necessarily, the correct way to understand the situation, but I'm trying to give you a picture of how a lot of younger people right now feel in France. What happens to retired assets upon death? Tax inheritance, easy. There is a very high inheritance taxes are actually pretty high in France. Not to mention that when it comes to inheritance, I do think that there will definitely be a lot of people who will benefit from the inheritance of those extremely inflated value real estate situations in France, but most people don't have like millionaire grandma and grandpa sitting on like 2 fucking apartments in Paris worth 3 million euros. Most people don't have that privilege. And I would even go further and say that if you believe in such a thing as class consciousness, those people who will inherit those, million dollar apartments in Paris, they probably, if they're following their class consciousness, they're probably not opposed to the reform. They're not the ones protesting right now. Obviously there are exceptions. There's a lot of people from privileged backgrounds who will have like more left-leaning tendencies. You're right. This is classical neoliberalism. Yes. And Briot, so clearly you're French. Do you agree with my assessment? Because I'm trying to explain to people, because in practice, if you actually think about it and pragmatically, the reform itself is not that big of a deal, right? Do you know anyone who's retiring at 62? Retiring at 62, to get your full pension at 62, you need to have entered active life at 20. And not having taken a single year, a single semester, actually, of inactivity in your entire career. You would need to have worked 42 years straight to get your full pension at 62. No one's retiring at 62. If you have a master's degree, you've studied for 5 years, you entered active life at 23. My mom did retire at 62. Okay, then she took on the pay cut, right? She probably didn't enter active life at 20. Or if she did, then that's interesting as well. And then managed to never have a year of inactivity or unemployment in her entire career. But basically, but yeah, she was supposed to retire next year if she wanted to have the whole paycheck. Okay, so she took on the penalty to her pension, which is what it's definitely something people do for sure. You're right. I shouldn't say that no one retires at 62, but there is a very strong disincentive to retiring at 62. I guess that's how I'm trying to frame it. Is eminent domain a thing in France? I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure eminent domain is a thing in every single country. The problem with eminent domain is that you need usually there's a very clear and strict legal framework in order to use it. So I don't know why you're asking. I imagine you're asking perhaps with regards to, for example, real estate values and solutions to lack of housing in urban hubs and stuff like that. I'm not even sure eminent domain could be used for that. I don't know, I'm a big supply side solutions when it comes to housing crises in the West. I think the main solution is to build high density housing, and I don't think you even need to enact special eminent domain measures in order to do that. All you need to do is either relax or modify specific construction restrictions. So, for example, for Paris and many other cities that have historical centers, what you should do, in my opinion, is keep the historical center. Obviously, tourism is very important, but relax the architectural restrictions for other parts of the city in order to make it so that you can build high-density housing in the rest of the city that will be closer to the workplaces. Especially if you're a woman who had kids. Yes. One of the most absurd things is that the years spent raising kids are not considered when you take maternity leave. Just don't take maternity leave. #USA. Yeah. France is great on maternity and paternity leave in general. At least in the text of the law, compared to the U.S. and many other countries. Now, this is clearly one bit of a blind spot when it comes to that. You should be able to not take on a penalty for your retirement just because you took maternity or paternity leave. French like to work. If you give them a good reason, it's easy to convince them, but this goes too far. If people work longer, there will be more unemployment and precariousness among young people, plus you steal 2 of the best years from the workers. So I actually disagree with this argument simply because of empirical data. So I don't know if you remember, in French politics in the 70s, I think. Yeah, it was in the 70s. In the 70s, there was this idea among economists and politicians that if we reduced employment among older people, if we provided incentives for them to retire early, then that was when the early retirement laws were the most beneficial for retirees. They were incentivized to retire early. When those older people retire, younger people get the job. That was shown to be false. All across Europe, those kinds of laws were put into place to incentivize companies to hire younger people and to incentivize older people to retire early. And it failed miserably. The statistics, the data showed that older people retiring does not give jobs to younger people. So the opposite is also going to be probably true, that older people working for a couple more years is not going to create more or take away jobs from younger people. The main explanation for that is that older people don't have the same jobs as younger people. The jobs that older people hold are jobs that are require usually experience, high qualifications. They are jobs that you have risen to. Those are not jobs that will just trickle down to younger people. Those aren't jobs that you can just promote anyone into, and then someone else gets promoted into the other person's job, et cetera, until it trickles down to hiring some more entry-level people. It's at least the statistics in Europe showed that there was that it's more complicated than this zero sum calculation. Well, jokesta, I understand the logic. Logically, the argument makes sense, and I would believe in that as well. If you just presented me the logic in a vacuum, I agree. It makes sense that the organization shifts up so it trickles down. All I'm saying is that empirically, it's been shown in Europe, when those laws were adopted for early retirement to encourage it, that it just didn't work. It did not improve employment for younger people. So at least that's the article I've read. Maybe there's other data that I'm missing, another explanation I'm missing. But right now, I'm just holding myself to the studies that I've read that were counterfactual to it, even though the logic states otherwise. But the facts, what happened in reality, states what I just described. Okay, I get the idea, but a worker nowadays produces more than 10 workers from the 90s. Yes, indeed. It's true. Productivity is much higher than before. The amount of wealth produced by every single worker is much higher. Well, that is true. That is true. Look, the reality is the government doesn't. I don't think the government needs to raise the retirement age. What I think the government is trying to do is free up a budget for other things. The government has to pays into the retirement fund every year. I think François Bayrou was saying 30 to 40 billion euros a year. I haven't checked it precisely. And that is enough to balance the budget. It's not like the budget is unbalanced. Yo, thanks for the follow, Banger everyone. Oh, I need to move the let me move the alert thingy. It's in the wrong place. Alert box. Let's move it in the corner here. Thank you for the follow, Banger. So yeah, no, you're right. The workers produce more, which means there's more wealth in the country. Which, thank you for the follow, Briouette. Which means there's it's not like there's a need to balance the retirement budget. In fact, the commission that runs the retirement budget itself has declared that with the current situation, with the status quo, there is no budget issue until 2050, and they don't make predictions further because they can't. Their latest report says there's no budget problem, but the government does pay taxpayer money into the retirement fund. And maybe that taxpayer money can go elsewhere and benefit the French people more. Look, if Macron came out tomorrow and said those 40 billion euros are going into the public hospital system or education, I would fucking support the reform 100%. I would get up and fucking clap it. I would 100% agree with it. Now, the reality is I have no clue what he's going to use that money for because he hasn't stated. But those would be examples of of something that I would 100% support personally. Macron coming out, so the memes were right. Yes. Why are you sending me this? Why? What is this? What am I supposed to learn from this magic journal? Okay, so Sophie says it's very cute. I think it's look, okay. Is heart disease cute? Is dying. Yeah, he's gonna fucking die. This poor penguin. She thinks it's a Photoshop. It doesn't survive in nature. Maybe. That is actually a possibility for sure. Hey, let me tweak something with the text here. Inflation meme. Oh no, dude! I taught my girlfriend Sophie, who's right here. I taught her about Sonic inflation this weekend. She now knows. Is this me after putting on the suit? No one cared who I was until I put on the suit. That was like a mix of Kermit and like the Joker. That was not even Bane. That was not even Bane posting. I look during the day.
You don't really want smoke, you ain't got that shit.
I look in the mirror at 3 a.m. True. Dude, I'm gonna glow up. I'm gonna glow up like the World Trade Center. No, not right now. Thank you. Okay, bowling ball, yes. You guys are getting Sigma memes today, yes. Alright. I'm gonna make Yo the new fashion icon. Yes, we're gonna become a fashion influencer. Anything new on TV?
Bonsoir à tous, bonsoir à toutes. Bienvenue sur BFM TV dans cette soirée spéciale. Comment sortir de cette tempête politique?
La réforme des retraites. A debate panel. Oh no. Twitch debate panel on live on BFM TV.
C'est un coup de tonnerre. Et maintenant, comment Emmanuel Macron peut-il reprendre la main?
How will Emmanuel Macron recover from this?
L'opposition et les syndicats peuvent encore espérer faire tomber.
How will the opposition and the unions try to stop the law coming into power?
Maintenant, éviter l'embrasement.
And how to avoid the protests burning the country down. All right. I'm not gonna watch their fucking debate. No, you're going to glow up like Marie Curie. Stay true to your culture. True, true. Actually, that's a way better reference. That's a good one. That is a good one indeed. All right. I don't know. I think that's I think that pretty much covers it for for this. So now, what I want to talk about. Let me change the stream titles real quick. Oh, by the way, I was trying to multi-stream to Kick, but it didn't work. The RTMP, I think I must have messed something up with the RTMP URL or something. I'll need to do some tests this week. Anyways, next topic of the stream is going to be, let me change the title. The Trump arrest. Is Trump going to share a cell with Andrew Tate? That is what we want to know. That is the news of the year. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably already know, at least the theme of what I'm going to talk about. You probably already know that, yes, indeed, Trump is actually, Trump is claiming that he's had access to leaks from the Justice Department, that his arrest is imminent. He's predicted Tuesday, if I recall correctly, from his tweets. Let me pull him up real quick. If I shall we? Truth Social at Donald Trump. Shall we? Let's accept Truth Social's cookies. The cookies of truth. Rumble is blocked in France. Because of French government demands to remove creators from our platform, Rumble is currently unavailable in France. We are challenging these government demands and hope to restore access soon. I need a VPN to watch Rumble in France. Oh, come on. Okay, anyways. Ron DeSanctimonious will probably find out about false accusations and fake stories sometime in the future. Oh, wait. Let's catch up on this. Let's catch up to this. Oh my god, the all caps tweets. Where's the original one? There's like, oh god, he tweets so fucking much. He tweets so much. I like don't even know where it begins. Where's the original tweet? Okay, fine. Let's go to an article. I'm gonna come. The infighting is so yummy. Yeah, the infighting is brilliant, but we're gonna get into detail into it. All right, fuck it. I'm just going to an article here. So New York authorities prepare for unprecedented arrest of Donald Trump. Wait, let's go here. Actually, there's like a video to watch. Or is there?
An attorney for former President Trump blames the media for Trump's claim that he'll be arrested on Tuesday in Manhattan. In a statement to CNN, Joe Tacopina says, "No one tells us anything, which is very frustrating. President Trump is basing his response on press reports and the fact that this is a political prosecution and the DA leaks things to the press instead of communicating to the lawyers as they should." Now, this drama began earlier today on Trump's Truth Social page. After predicting his arrest on Tuesday, the former president urged his supporters to, quote, "take back our nation." And tonight, his campaign is already fundraising off of his claims, which have not been confirmed. There's no indication that he will be arrested Tuesday. Now, sources tell me and my colleague Kristen Holmes.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Yeah.
Team has gotten
Wait, that's what I
no
said.
word
Yeah.
from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office about the timing of any possible indictment. Another source says the former president has been pushing his team to get the base riled up over the idea because he believes it would help him politically. He says it is
that was a perfectly timed gnome.
of the United States of America
Holy shit.
will be arrested on Tuesday of next
shut up.
week. Protest.
Wait, where's this video? Stop autoplaying.
Speculating about an arrest to incite political violence?
I don't think he's
Help.
speculating at all.
Okay, I'm muting the tab. CNN, what's wrong with your player? All right. In a social media post, Trump, referring to himself, said the leading Republican candidate and former president of the U.S. will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. So because of this, there's been a lot of speculation about what the arrest is going to be specifically about and how it's going to happen. I personally, when we were covering the January 6th committee, I personally called out the January 6th committee for being just a symbolic procedure, which that's not really a hot take, right? That is just some reality. And on top of that, I honestly still believe that there is a strong counter incentive to doing anything to Trump. Look at it like this. Trump has successfully convinced a large swath of the American population that the elections were stolen. It was rampant voter fraud, that Biden is corrupt and doing a disservice to the American people, that the Democrats are corrupt and doing a disservice to the American people, that the Democrats are traitors to the United States, so on and so forth. With all this, it's not a hard sell to make those same people convinced that Trump simply, that Trump's arrest and Trump's trial will be a political shit show. Well, all he needs to do is tell them that he's facing a kangaroo court to decredibilize the whole process to his voter base. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid for that. I'm afraid because I do think that there is going to be a large part of the population that is never going to see any sort of criminal procedure as legitimate. Why does that matter? Well, I don't think that matters if you believe in justice, but I believe that matters if you aspire to, if you see things from a more, let's say, realistic, in the, like, kind of transposing the realism of international relations to like local politics, in the sense that you are making a calculation. If you're a prosecutor, if you're a politician supporting the prosecution, you're making a calculation that the fallout of the criminal process is going to be weaker than the benefits. You're making the calculation that the riots, that the protests, that the pushback against it is not going to be strong enough to imperil the institutions, to imperil trust in the institutions for most American people, etc., etc. It is a gamble, is what I'm trying to say. It is a gamble. I think it's a safer gamble than Macron's gamble, if we're going to compare both, like you're doing in Jokesta. But it still is a bit of a gamble. And I personally was expecting the Justice Department in general to be, sorry to put it this way, a bit of a pussy about the whole situation and not even touch him. Most countries don't touch former politicians when it comes to legal proceedings. Because of exactly this. They don't want to decredibilize the court, to politicize court decisions. But it seems like that's not necessarily the case. So, let me pull up my notes here real quick. One of the main things I've been looking into, because, so there's all sorts of articles and speculation. Let me go, wait, oops. All right, let me go full screen. State justice don't give a fuck. Yeah. So there's been all sorts of articles and speculation about whether Trump's going to be arrested, what's he going to be arrested for. There's been some statements from different district attorneys, from different representatives of the Justice Department, etc. And I have kind of compiled what interested me. I've kind of compiled a list of what are the potential legal ramifications, legal indictments that Trump can be subjected to. So we're going to be going through the list one by one. First of all, the one that concerns the New York prosecution specifically, that is almost certainly what Trump is referring to in his Truth Social rants, is the Stormy Daniels hush money. So right before the presidential campaign, Trump has allegedly paid $130,000 to Stormy Daniels in order to silence her with regards to their sexual adventures. Now, the problem with that is, legally speaking, is that money, if I understand correctly, let me just double check real quick. Sorry, knees, you're going to have to edit this part out. Right. The problem is that the Trump organization reimbursed Trump's expenses when it comes to those $130,000 paid to Mrs. Daniels, meaning that he used what were basically supposed to be, or were presented as a legal retainer in the tax papers, in the tax paperwork, were actually hush money to Stormy Daniels, meaning it is bookkeeping fraud. Now, honestly, bookkeeping fraud is a misdemeanor. It's only a felony if there is also another crime that is attached to the fraud that Trump has committed. Meaning that very likely it's not going to be a big punishment unless the prosecutor's, the district attorney's office has something else on top of him. Like Stormy Daniels was on top of him. But the thing is, they also have a bit of a legal conundrum when it comes to this. It's that the bookkeeping fraud, since the filing is from the New York District Attorney's office, it's concerning money that was spent within the process of a federal campaign, meaning that you're trying to apply state penal law, on what should actually technically be more of a federal crime, which my understanding is that might not be accepted by the court in the first place. So I'm not quite sure what the legal framework is going to be for the prosecution, given that inconsistency. Now you're going to say, hey, that's just a technicality, but we all know the law is made of technicalities. Now on top of that, a misdemeanor is up to 1 year in prison and fines. Or fines, specifically, or fines. Probably not going to be sent to prison over a little fraud. We know white-collar crime doesn't really get punished in that way, usually. So we're not talking about, like, anything that's a very, very serious charge. Unless they have a second crime added that turns it into a felony, in which case it could be up to 4 years in prison. On top of that, I did some of my own research to look up federal law because of this conundrum of how do you apply state penal law to what was actually a federal offense. Title 18, U.S. Code 1519, could perhaps apply, according to my layperson's reading of the law. Let me pull it. Hey, Jerry, can you pull it up real quick? I closed the tab earlier by accident. Title 18 U.S. Code 1519, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations. We definitely have the falsification of records since we have a false statement as the purpose of payments within the course of a federal campaign. However, I'm not quite certain that this law is going to apply to the situation. And in any case, this law is a federal law. This is not a law that will apply within a New York State court situation. This is just some independent research I did. I'm not even sure, since this mostly concerns impeding an investigation, which we'll talk about later. I'm not sure this even applies to the specific falsification with regards to the payments to Stormy Daniels. Now, the second potential venue, the second potential strategy that the prosecutors can use to attack Trump, this time on a federal level. Jack Smith, the special counsel of the Federal Justice Department, has been investigating Trump with regards to the Mar-a-Lago classified documents that have been seized, in Mar-a-Lago. So, the issue is that unauthorized retention of national security documents is a felony. However, it does require prosecution to demonstrate that those documents were related to national defense. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. If those documents were simply... I have to make the comparison to Hillary Clinton's email server. If those documents are just like random emails talking about meeting up at a pizza joint to have like lunch, those aren't issues of national defense. Those wouldn't count for the unauthorized retention of national security documents. Now, if there are documents within the, I think it was 103 documents that were found in Mar-a-Lago, if there are documents in there that were a threat to national security, then that would be a punishment of up to 10 years in prison per document. So that could actually be a very serious charge if and only if some of those documents do concern national security. A second potential charge concerning those documents is the fact that he concealed records in order to obstruct an official effort. In this case, there were two official efforts that were obstructed. On the one hand, the National Archives seeking custody of presidential records, which they do after every single presidential term, and the Justice Department's subpoena for classified documents, which, if you recall, Trump's lawyer had returned documents to the Justice Department over that subpoena. However, 103 documents remained in Mar-a-Lago. So it's in that way that records were concealed. In this case, it would be potentially up to 20 years in prison per offense. Now, per offense, I'm not sure if that means, that doesn't seem to mean per document. Since it's a single offense, that would just be well, it's still a very heavy penalty, up to 20 years in prison. Finally, once again regarding the subpoena, Trump could be accused of contempt of court for not respecting the subpoena of May 2022, ordering the return of those documents. In this case, that would be a very, very minor offense compared to the rest. That is a fine of up to $1,000 and up to 6 months in prison. That being said, if I recall correctly, there might be, let me double check, there might be a clause with the contempt of court about not being able to, yes, there would be, no, that was the previous law, sorry. Going back to the previous law, which is the mishandling of official documents, oh no, sorry, I was going to talk about it later in my notes. I got confused, my bad. Let me put a marker here, okay. The problem with all those three cases, however, is that the prosecution will have the responsibility of showing that Trump knew about the documents and that he intentionally hid them or instructed to hide them from either the subpoena or the National Archives, etc., etc. So as long as Trump has plausible deniability with regards to any of those three crimes, none of those charges can stick to him. And, well, showing intent, showing knowledge, those are pretty high bars when it comes to proving a crime. So those would not be easy crimes to nail him on. Finally, concerning the same documents, there is a potential charge of mishandling official documents. Since there have been testimonies from former aides, as well as the National Archive, that have shown that have stated that documents that Trump was responsible for were destroyed, which is illegal. Possibly up to 3 years in prison per document, as well as a potential charge, or a potential conviction of a ban on holding federal office. Though some experts argue that banning someone from holding federal office, at least on this kind of charge, would be unconstitutional. Definitely, we all know Trump would fight a ban of being able to run for federal office. But that would definitely be a charge that would be very, very interesting for anyone who doesn't want Trump to run again, including DeSantis. Finally, concerning the documents, there could be a charge of conspiracy to make a false statement. Because Trump and his lawyer, Corcoran, who had submitted the only part of the documents to the Justice Department when they subpoenaed him, both might have both known and agreed to lie about there still being documents in Mar-a-Lago. If this charge sticks, that is up to 5 years in prison. Now, an interesting part concerning all of those investigations is that Trump's lawyer, Mr. Corcoran, has had his attorney-client privilege waived for those investigations specifically, meaning he can no longer stay silent. He can be subpoenaed within the legal process. So that is actually really, really big. The lawyer should be privy to key information concerning those crimes if those crimes actually occurred, if Trump had knowledge of them, etc., etc., if there was conspiracy with this lawyer. So Mr. Corcoran's testimony is going to be probably central to whether there are going to be any real charges behind the Mar-a-Lago documents. All right, let me catch up with chat real quick. Fun fact, Trump in a cell would still have Secret Service. Nice. Flashbacks to certain emails that got strangely deleted after a subpoena had been received. NYC barricades went up a few minutes ago. Interesting. Manhattan courts surrounded. Okay, yeah, we'll go back in and cover the the latest news concerning the Manhattan courts once we're done going through the list. Now, another angle of attack against Trump would be the January 6th insurrection, also handled by Jack Smith, special counsel of the Justice Department, within the Justice Department's investigation. We don't have any public statements concerning the Justice Department's investigation, but we can make some educated guesses as to what the investigation is centered upon based on the January 6th House Committee hearings, that some of which we've covered here on stream. The House Committee hearings basically came upon several key potential offenses. So, for example, obstruction of an official proceeding, which is the charge that 300 January 6th rioters were hit with. Trump obviously didn't participate directly within the riot. However, the House Committee hearings have considered that him summoning his supporters near the White House and then urging them on to march to the Capitol, as well as calling on them literally to fight like hell, could be grounds to charge him with obstruction of an official proceeding. The official proceeding in question being Mike Pence's swearing in or certification of Biden's victory. Obviously, the defense would be plausible deniability. In the same speech where Trump called for them to fight like hell, Trump also asked them to protest peacefully. If this charge can stick, Trump is liable for up to 20 years in prison. A different potential obstruction of official proceedings was the appointment of alternative electors within the elector system of the U.S. presidential elections, and pressuring Pence to cite those alternative electors instead of following the normal democratic process within the American system. The January 6th committee did show that Trump was told that there was no truth to his stolen election claims, but Trump's defense might be that he did consult with one lawyer, John Eastman, who did advise him positively to take those steps. So Trump could basically lay the blame at the feet of this lawyer, John Eastman. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, potentially up to 5 years in prison for this one, since it was shown that Trump consulted with various lawyers and aides to try to prevent certification of Biden's victory. The committee argued that Trump's deceitful intent can be proven, since he was repeatedly told that the allegations of voter fraud were baseless. If anyone who's followed the January 6th committee hearings did see many testimonies, many aides, even people important in the GOP, people who had skin in the game, telling Trump those voter fraud allegations, they're not helping and they are baseless, they're wrong. However, I suspect that Trump's defense would be very similar as well. He could turn to Rudy Giuliani, to John Eastman, to different people, different yes men he consulted, in order to claim that, hey, that there was still a plausible world where he had a reason to believe that there was fraud. Conspiracy to make a false statement, which also depends on proving Trump's intentions and him understanding him making a false statement beyond a reasonable doubt, which would be also very hard to make stick. And finally, this one being probably the hardest, politically speaking, to make stick, is that it is a crime to incite, assist, aid, and comfort an insurrection against the authority and laws of the federal government. The January 6th hearings notably showed that how Trump refused for hours to call off the rioters despite aides imploring him to, and that he even directed an inflammatory tweet at Pence during the event. However, despite the committee bringing this up, none of the January 6th defendants were accused of insurrection, even those charged with seditious conspiracy. So I don't think this would necessarily stick. This one specifically would be up to 10 years plus fines. I watched Men in Black 3. I give it a 6 out of 10 acceptable ending. That has a lot to do with what we're talking about. Thank you for the contribution, Magic Turtle. I'm going to tell the North Carolina governor to lose some votes. Hillary destroyed her equipment, even burned her office down. 30,000 emails destroyed. I don't know about that. I haven't actually looked deep into Hillary's emails, so I don't have a strong opinion. And I don't know if that's even true. Is he not being charged with inciting a riot? Right now, he's not being charged with anything. Right now, the speculation is that he's going to be charged with falsifying accounting documents with regards to the Stormy Daniels hush money. That is the main thing that he's almost certainly going to be charged with. And that misdemeanor, doing Jafart, is not beyond the statute of limitations. So the state of New York has a statute of limitations, if I recall correctly, of 2 years on a misdemeanor like this one. Like the fraud committed with regards to Stormy Daniels' money. However, the statute of limitations has several caveats. First of all, during COVID, there was a 1-year extension to all statutes of limitations. Secondly, the state of New York extends the statute of limitations when the person concerned, the person accused, has been living outside of the state of New York. And it just so happens that the falsification happened right before Trump's election, if I recall correctly, meaning he's lived in the White House and then also in Florida. So my understanding is that it pretty much lines up so that the charges that the New York State Attorney is going to bring against Trump are still within the statute of limitations, with all those extensions piled on top of each other. We're looking at several years of extension of the statute of limitations. So no, it still will stick, Dune and Jafart. You're wrong to bring that up. A grand jury is a group of people selected to sit on a jury that decide whether the prosecutor's evidence provides probable cause to cause an indictment. Okay. Notice sources were not shared. Yeah. What a surprise. Sources were not shared by Dune and Jafart. Tuesday will be awesome watching lunatics weep. We will see. I don't know. It's Trump claiming that he's going to be arrested on Tuesday. I don't consider him a very, very reliable source, though I have no doubt that he himself has sources within, for example, the New York DA and stuff like that, where he can. I'm sure someone tipped him off on something. I imagine that his statements are based on some kind of truth. And once again, evidence seems to point towards the Stormy Daniels angle when it comes to the specific prosecution there. Oh, and wait. I forgot one of the... Sorry. I forgot one of the... I forgot one last angle. Right. Wait, I didn't take notes on it. Oh, no, I skipped it by accident. Okay, well, that's going to have to get edited in as well, Mr. Nees. All right, one last angle when it comes to the possible prosecution of Donald Trump is the investigation into Georgia election law by DA Fannie T. Willis of Fulton County, Georgia. She is currently looking into election code law violations potentially committed by Trump's campaign in Georgia. Most of them being misdemeanors. However, if it can be shown that there was conspiracy to violate a provision or solicitation to commit fraud, those become felony. And a second potential angle, which Ms. Willis has stated she's considering, is racketeering charges under Georgia's RICO Act, which would require to show Trump that Trump conspired with others or engaged in 2 or more offenses from the RICO Act list, including solicitation, forgery, false statements to state officials. We don't have any more details on what those false statements would specifically be or what that solicitation is going to be, but we can pretty reasonably try to guess that some of it will have to do with that most of it will have to do with the efforts to overturn Georgia's election results. We know that Trump was frantically calling state officials, contacts he's had, judges, anything he could grasp at in order to create pressure against the election results. And some of that pressure might be eventually interpreted as solicitation or a form of racketeering. So perhaps there is a validity to that angle as well. The fire over 5 years after the email thing. Ha 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 ha. All right. Look at the misdemeanor charges on Trump beyond statute of limitation. Dude, have you listened to anything I've been saying? The New York State statute of limitations is very particular. It has a lot of exceptions and extensions applied to it, which means that Trump's misdemeanors would still be within the scope of the statute of limitations when it comes to the falsification of documents for his campaign. The real problem with that, with the New York State's angle, is that New York State is trying to apply a New York State penal law on what is technically federal action. It was an action of Trump's federal campaign, even though it occurred in New York. So the legal framework might be very tenuous when it comes to that specific charge. We will have to see how it goes. But the statute of limitation is a red herring as to the validity of those charges. All right, anyways. Have fun with your tacos and beers, Duna Jafar. Hope you enjoy them. Yeah, what's up with that Hillary Clinton house fire? Hillary Clinton house fire in January 2018. And you're saying it's 5 years after the Clinton emails. 2015. 3, yeah. Yeah, very related. Good job, Duna Jafar. Man, Googling it. What a nerd. All right. And that, my friends, is it for the prepared content for today. So now, let's check out what's happening with around the Manhattan court, Trump. Barricades unloaded near Manhattan Criminal Court. Let's check this out. Not even because the issues she had were years before the hearing. Oh, true. True, it's from years before. Yo, Scoopster, you just missed some hot shit in the stream. Wait a minute, what the fuck is this? Hey, who is that? He's kissing his hand like right above his crotch. Ayo, kiss your homie, okay? Kiss your homies. It's Putin. Well, I'm gonna say Putin is base for this, okay? You gotta kiss your homie, Xi Jinping. I like seeing this. Let's all stand up for Putin. I like that. If this isn't Photoshop. Oh, it's a NAFO account. Okay, yeah, they're gonna be this fucking caricature. Please send tanks kisses. He's trying to get in there, and Ping is like, no, not now. Yeah. Dude, Putin would be fucking chuffed if Xi Jinping was willing to send actual military support to Russia. Oh boy, that would be a game changer probably, as far as like Russian military logistics go. What I mean, damn, Putin really trying to join the CCP. Yeah, I imagine there's a context to this, but did I hear about the boat? What boat? The boat that's part of the investigation into Nord Stream? What's good with that body double roaming Mariupol last night? Oh yeah, I saw Skadefron's stream title. I didn't check it out, but allegedly Putin claims to have visited Mariupol, and I was thinking about that too. Like, wow, he like must feel really fucking safe if he's doing that. That isn't really in character with how Putin's been treating interactions with other people and with state officials. He's been an extremely paranoid president. He's been like we've all seen the scene where he's like across a 20-meter table, on a 20-meter table, across of Macron, like not even willing to be close to this other state official. No, the one from China to Russia with ore that started sinking. The authorities didn't let anyone save it. Interesting. Yo, Couchman, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. You missed it. You missed. Hey, everyone who's joining the stream right now. We have. If you like watching my VODs, today's VODs are hot shit. Okay. We have covered in depth the vote of no confidence here in France that has failed to overthrow the French government in response to the forcing through of the retirement reform law. And we have done an in-depth analysis, in detail analysis of the exact legal ramifications and charges that Trump might be facing over the coming weeks and months. We've gone over the specifics, all the statements. I've done quite a bit of research leading up to the stream, and I've compiled a list of every single charge that he might be indicted with from different jurisdictions, whether it's New York State, Georgia, federal, and the evidence, the potential defenses, etc., etc. There will be a video out if you want to wait. We will definitely publish a video about the Trump stuff as well. So you might want to just wait for it on the YouTube, which, by the way, you go like and subscribe and blah blah blah. But yeah, just got to sell out a little bit. Anyways, if you watch it, everything about it doesn't seem like him. Interesting. Yeah, let's see if there's video. Putin meeting Xi Jinping. I fucking destroyed Xi Jinping's name. Presidents Putin and Xi meet at the Kremlin. Okay. What is this pic? Allegedly, this is a picture from Xi Jinping and Putin meeting yesterday, if I understand correctly.
It's much more important than it is for President Xi, really, because he
Xi to Putin, I'm convinced Russian people support you.
President Xi needs him, given Russia's isolation on the world stage, given the fact that China, alongside India, a few other countries, are now, the most important.
Oh, you meant Mariupol appearance? Oh, yeah, we'll look into it right after.
Russia really.
This is 2023 fan fiction. Yeah.
It's not a particularly even-handed visit, though. I think President Xi wants to be considered a peace broker in terms of any future resolution and what happens in Ukraine. And
we've seen it and we've covered it. Xi Jinping, China in general, Beijing wants to be the peace broker. Beijing wants to take the role of the arbitrator, and I think that's an important step in international relations for Beijing to try to present itself as the true neutral international police, eventually usurping the role of the US or the United Nations, where smaller countries could rely on China to step in for them. Part of the whole intent behind the Belt and Road Initiative of Beijing no longer being isolationist. Yeah, exactly. Beijing wants to be not the West.
Talking about the importance of their strategic alliance.
I think that's the intent behind Beijing's proposed peace plan for Ukraine and Russia.
How they are,
and they're posturing as a neutral country.
I think that we're not going to be particularly surprised.
Yeah, we're not getting footage of them Xi and Putin sucking off Xi Jinping. I don't know if this picture is real, by the way. This was just sent to me in chat like 5 minutes ago. I have no clue. I don't know what is real, what isn't. I'm like googling the meeting between the two. Okay, here's like Reuters, them shaking hands. Carefully set your proposals on settling the acute crisis in Ukraine. Yeah, and by the way, so Xi Jinping is meeting with Putin. Zelensky, in response to China's proposed peace plan, has also stated that he wants to meet Xi Jinping. Zelensky clearly sees this as a chance to show that that Kyiv is a good faith actor in pursuing peace, that they are not going to dismiss or refuse any kind of peace proposal. Putin does some weird leg movements throughout this video. Interesting. It's smart until you remember China pisses off everyone in their sphere. I hope Putin actually kissed Xi's hand, but probably fake. Probably fake, yeah. It seems like they just shaked hands. We will see. I hope Putin actually... Putin stalling Xi's Taiwan plans. Xi definitely pissed. True as well. Of course, we'll have an opportunity. We know that you're guided by observing the principles of justice and respect for the basis of international law, undivided security for every country. Oh, this is interesting. The rhetoric here is interesting because we've talked, we've framed the problem between Russia's approach and the West's approach. The West's approach is that of international law, of rule of law in international relations. Commonly, we could say like liberalism as the leading ideology, whereas Russia's approach is that of the security dilemma, which is informed by the ideology of realism in international relations. Putin, by saying that the basis of international law is security of all countries, is the security guarantee, he's paying lip service to the ideological principle of rule of law, of international law, while still essentializing it down to the realistic perspective of the security dilemma. I find that rhetoric very interesting. You're also very well aware that we're always open to the negotiation process. She responds, "Dear President Putin, I always call you my dear friend." I was very glad to receive your proposal for a state visit once again, let alone after my re-election as chairman of China's Communist Party. I chose Russia as the first foreign country to visit. Okay. That was saying nothing. Oh, you think Taiwan plans right after the 2024 U.S. elections? I'll bet money. We'll see. There was this article a while back claiming that the Taiwan plans would be claiming that the Taiwan plans would be were originally planned for 2023. What is this tweet you're linking me? Putin's feet during his meeting with Lukashenko. Is this Morse code? Huh. Well, he's got restless feet. A lot of people have restless feet. The real question would be whether he he usually does this, in which case it's normal, or if he doesn't usually do it, is it then maybe an indication of some medication that he's taken or something? U.S. Intel said 2025 would be possible for CCP. I wonder if they're having a double take with regards to Taiwan as well, simply because of the how badly the Ukraine invasion is going. Like, you have to realize, even if Ukraine falls within the next couple of years, it's still not going to be a glorious victory for Russia. The price paid will be extremely steep, no matter who wins at the end of the day. So I'm sure that Beijing is looking at the situation very closely and reevaluating various potential plans. There is another video of it zoomed out. Okay. They want them to be right after one another. Ukraine falls and Taiwan starts before the supply chains catch up. That would make sense. As a plan, that would make sense. Ukraine lagging helps Xi, in my opinion. Maybe. Maybe that is the plan. From what I can tell, the picture is probably fake. Barely any other sources of the image on social media, and several other people asking for authenticity with the poster not responding. Yeah, that makes sense. It's actually Hunter Biden in a Putin mask. Yeah. China can stockpile while the West spends arms. That is true. That is absolutely true. China is China has been absolutely propping up its military-industrial complex. I mean, China is the second biggest army in the world, and they're definitely like flaunting the economic power to support that. Now, then the question is, the same as for most countries right now, is that military might, on paper, the same in practice? That is a big question mark. But I'm sure they're taking a close look at their logistics, at their levels of corruption, and so on and so forth, to make sure that they're not caught in the same kinds of issues like Russia. I also doubt China's military is as bad of a situation as Russia's. I also doubt it. I imagine corruption is a lot lesser, and even if it was, I imagine they're cleaning house right now. They have to. They have to. Seeing what's happening, that would be the first decision to make. Like, we got to clean house here. We got to make sure we don't make the same mistakes. All right. Why were we talking about this? Oh, right, because of the tweet where with the kissing the hand. All right, I wanted to check out real quick the Manhattan barricade thing. Do we have a video? Yeah, the hill. Wait, why no video? Me zoomer, me want video. Live now, court exterior. All right, let's go. Arrest Trump. Loser. Trump is over. Soy. Are you soying with me? Soy Trump. I need to pull up a meme. I've got the right meme. So it's a protest against Trump or some sort? Yeah. So basically, we know that the New York DA is preparing to, or we suspect Trump leaked info about it. We suspect that the New York DA is preparing to charge Trump, almost certainly with regards to the Stormy Daniels hush money, the $130,000 paid to Stormy Daniels to silence her, having being covered up within the tax documents as a legal charge within his campaign, meaning fraud. Then the question is, can they make it a felony? Because that fraud charge is just a misdemeanor, unless they can add on some kind of other crime related to the same instance of fraud. And yeah. And then if it's a misdemeanor, it might be kind of close when it comes to the statute of limitations as well. Didn't it go past statutes of limitations already? So the thing that complicates things is that New York statutes of limitations is really complicated. There are two exceptions to the statutes of limitations that apply to Trump's case. The first one being that if you're a New York resident, if you're being charged by New York, however, you've lived outside of New York after the crime was committed, all the time you've lived outside of New York, this is time where the statute of limitations is not counting down. So when Trump was resident of the White House, the statute of limitations was not counting down. And when Trump was resident in Florida, in Mar-a-Lago, it also was not counting down. It only was counting down when he was living in New York. And on top of that, during COVID, all statutes of limitations in New York were extended by 1 year. All of them. So you got 1 year plus however much time Trump was not living in New York since the alleged crime was committed. So actually, I think even the misdemeanor, which has a shorter statute of limitations, might still be chargeable. And obviously they're going to try to aim for the felony if they can make a second charge stick on top of the fraud. All right, let me do this.
So I just need you to clear a path. Otherwise,
Now let me add image to my stream. Add a new source. Browse. OBS, come on. I have such a good meme, and OBS is cucking me. All right, let's do this.
folks, it'll be about 10 minutes. It'll be like 5-10 minutes. The sooner we get this cleared out, the sooner you guys can set back up again. But I do need this area cleared.
Let me just move it to, okay, do this. I had to like manually type the path to the image. Great. All right, there you go. There you go. Live footage for the from the front of the Manhattan courthouse. Prepared for the possible Trump indictment. So, because Trump has called on Truth Social, Trump has called for people to protest and stand up for him. Similarly to the language leading up to January 6th, he's called for people to stand up for him. So that is why they have prepared barricades. They are ready for potential riots in response to the indictment. Isn't it tomorrow? Are they going to camp out there? I expect police to be there 24/7 in the following week. But yes, according to Trump, the indictment is going to happen tomorrow. Has the PLA ever had to prove themselves outside of the obvious civil war? The People's Liberation Army, you mean China's army? They have, historically, yes, they have had to. If I recall correctly. Well, no, technically it was the previous government's army that fought Japan, but I think they fought Japan as well. Anyways, sorry, we've moved on to Trump anyways. Those are some true culture warriors there. Right there, yes. Oh, yo, our IRL stream from Mar-a-Lago. I still need to do an IRL stream of the French retirement age protests. I think that would be very interesting. I need to motivate myself to do one of those. I'd probably enjoy a stay at Mar-a-Lago. Seems like a fun resort, if you ignore the whole Trump stuff. Trump lived in New York up to the election, so the statute hasn't even started ticking. Yeah. That's why, like, if you hear, like, Trumples talk about the statute of limitations, they don't understand. They actually don't understand, like, they haven't looked into how that shit works. Yo, is Trump arrested already, and for what? He's not arrested. He's not even indicted yet. Trump is predicting, according to his sources, that he's going to be indicted tomorrow. But that is according to Trump. We don't have any official statements, as far as I know, with regards to when the indictment is happening. We have a vague idea of what the indictment is going to be about. Specifically with regards to the New York State District Attorney, it's almost certainly going to be because of a violation of the New York penal law. That is the falsification of tax documents, campaign documents, where Trump has passed the $130,000 he gave Stormy Daniels in exchange for her silence off as a legal expense. Honestly, that charge might not stick simply because it was a federal campaign, a legal campaign offense, but it's a New York penal law charge, so the technicality of it might be in Trump's favor there. Who cares? Arrest him for the January 6th thing and the stolen documents, SMH. Those investigations are still underway. So I did a whole recap earlier in the stream, if you want to look back into the VOD. going into depth about all the various investigations and possible indictments that can be raised against Trump over the course of the next weeks, months, and years. And I've gone into deep detail into them. I'll have a YouTube video out about it, which is just going to be a highlight of the stream. If you want to sub to my YouTube, you'll have the video in your feed, or you'll just need to check it out regularly. It will be out soon, and it goes into details about exactly that. What are the potential charges for January 6th? What are going to be the potential charges concerning stolen documents? There's also the Georgia State District Attorney. Oh, is my YouTube bot not working, or is it YT? Oh, it's YT. Okay. There are also there's also the state of Georgia that is looking into a potential electoral code violation against Trump as well. But yeah, what Couchman is saying, it's not quick at all. They have to make sure everything is watertight. Those are very, very slow processes. And because those are very, very hard things to prove. So what I covered earlier, which is for almost every single possible charge, we covered the burden of proof on the prosecution, and it almost every single time involves the proving Trump's knowledge of it being a crime or it being an issue, and proving Trump's intent. Those are hard things to prove. Those are things where you need to subpoena personal communications, have good reason for the subpoena in the first place, where you need to also manage to find witnesses, find documents, etc., etc. Some of the important advances when it comes to those things, especially, for example, the documents that are found in Mar-a-Lago, Trump's lawyer who helped lie to the May 2022 subpoena, the court has waived Mr. Corcoran's a client attorney privilege, which means Mr. Corcoran, Trump's lawyer that had dealt with the May 2022 subpoena, no longer can refuse to testify against Trump, which is a big deal. Mr. Corcoran's testimony might eventually reveal a conspiracy to hide those documents in Mar-a-Lago, in which case there would be a very, very valid charge against Trump. So those are one of the avenues, for example, that are being explored by the Justice Department right now. Like, proving that Trump wanted and had something to do with the insurrection is hard as fuck, yes. Most people know it happened due to subjective evidence. Law is objective, so it's way harder. Yeah, the burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt means that if someone has plausible deniability, they go free. That is how justice works. That team did all that in the hours-long investigation presentation, right? So the January 6th committee was not a legal process. The January 6th committee. Oh, that's not a lone gangster, by the way. Here, let me make it larger. Here, there's two people actually. Let's do it like this. Let me put it. All right, let's do it like lone gangsters. There you go. So the committee informed the investigation, for sure. But the thing is, the Justice Department investigation into January 6th was ongoing from the very beginning. The Justice Department had actually been investigating the situation before the White House, the House committee even took place. So it might even be a bit of the opposite, where the angles of investigation of the Justice Department informed the committee, perhaps. But I'm pretty sure, my understanding is that the Justice Department's investigation has been pretty tightly under wraps. They haven't really had leaks. So most likely they were completely independent with regards to each other. Yeah, it was a protest-turned riot uprising. They would have all been armed. An insurrection doesn't require them to be organized or properly armed, right? Or an uprising. An uprising doesn't need to be And that being said, there are people who are actually armed and ready to stir some serious shit. You know, there are some of the people who broke into the White House actually had like zip ties and were armed and so on and so forth. Okay, noob here in USA politics, but what was the point of that committee? It was a symbolic gesture. The point of the committee was politics. What Couchman said as well, show the American people what happened and the symbolism of it, show that they are doing something, that the politicians are doing something. And yeah, you can disagree with it, but Couchman is right. And also, like I said, it's a symbolic gesture. It's a gesture to show that there are people in government who opposed what happened and who wanted to look into it and do their own investigation. But because we live in democracies, we have separation of powers. And the branch of justice is not influenced by the branch of legislation, which was what the committee was. It was a legislative branch initiative. They had no authority, basically. It feels meh because I thought it was for real. Then that is unfortunate that people misinformed you, or that TV misinformed you about what was the role and what was the power of that committee. That committee had no power. It had no authority to do what it did. It simply did it because those were politicians, and it was a political act. That's why they left out extreme amounts of exculpatory evidence. Possibly. I don't know about that, but if you claim so, possibly that happened as well. And the truth is, once again, that even though they brought up a lot of evidence that looks bad for Trump, the burden of proof for an actual legal procedure, once again, is beyond a reasonable doubt. Proving intent beyond a reasonable doubt, proving knowledge beyond a reasonable doubt, that requires access to testimonies and text where things are pretty explicit. It's not going to be easy for the Justice Department to mount any kind of viable case against Trump with regards to January 6th. Gold right here. What is this? Wait, oops. Oops. Oh no, I opened like a million windows. Becky Sue said it, y'all. If they can come for Trump, they can come for you too. Oh no. Becky.
I am vivid. Hey y'all.
What's up, Becky?
Becky Sue here, doing my daily video vlog update for y'all. So update, I'm pissed. Okay, I'm mad as hell. I am vivid right now. Okay, y'all know how they stormed into our president's house in Florida, kicked in the doors, and went through Melania's panty drawers and everything.
Kick in the door, break out the 4-4. What's the whole line? Kick in the door, pull out the 4-4. Big Papa ain't something no more. Oh, I forgot. I forgot the line. I'm so sorry. She is vivid. Becky thought she was safe. True. No Becky is safe in the USA. Let's end Becky's.
Well, today they made him sit in New York City for a disposition. They made him sit and asked him all these mean questions.
They made him sit.
Okay. Then they made him take the 5th commandment. Not only the 5th commandment,
they make you take the 5th commandment. Oh boy. That is some deep shit. You know, when they make you take the 5th commandment, that is really, that is some undemocratic, horrible stuff, yeah.
Made him take all the commandments. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I thought this was America. I thought we were founded on freedom.
This is top tier trolling, it is.
Speech and the freedom to be Christian and the freedom of guns and the freedom to take some classified documents from the White House to your golf course in Florida. You are the President of the United States.
She's 100% trolling. Okay.
I guess I was wrong.
The freedom to take classified documents.
They can come for Donald J. Trump. They can come for me. And they can come for you. So, well, that's all for today. Okay, stay safe out there.
Those are all amendments, yeah. Yeah, she's right. They can come for you too. If they think you committed a crime. Oh, this is some top tier trolling. This is good, some good shit. Mom, Jersey, Democrat, news junkie, Lebanese, hot-headed geek, blocked by Chachi. Alright, I'm gonna follow her. Fourth Amendment is unreasonable search and seizure. Lol. Oh, because she said amendment. I heard commandment. Oh, wait, no, wait. When you plead the fourth, wait, that is what they mean when you say they say like plead the. Oh no, that's plead the fifth. I confuse them all the time. Wait, what does she say again exactly? Like,
our president's house in Florida, kicked in the doors and went through Melania's panty drawers and everything.
Melania's panty drawers.
They made him sit in New York City for a disposition.
A disposition.
They made him sit and asked him all these mean questions, and it gets worse, okay? Then they made him take the fifth commandment.
Commandment. She does say commandment.
They made him take all the commandments. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth.
First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. What's the fifth commandment like in the Bible? Again, is there like another level to the trolling? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Fifth of the 10 commandments. To honor your father and mother. Okay. Cool. What are the 10 commandments in order? You shall have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee... Right, let's read them. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. What the fuck does that mean? Like, oh, no, not making any images of God? Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Holy God! What a commandment. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. Okay, cool. No Jesus memes. I love Jesus memes. Those memes where you have Jesus like behind you, like, oh God, like Jesus helping people memes. Oh God, I love those. Alright, those are actually pretty lame. There are some good ones out there. But with you always. Anyways. Okay, I need to hide the soy jacks. There you go. Jesus is my co-pilot, yeah. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah. Jesus, take the wheel. Thank you. Oh, look at the cat. Oh. El gato. Old but gold, yeah. Nice. Look at her fight. See, this is how Trump supporters are gonna fight on tomorrow in front of the Manhattan District Attorney's office, or was it the court? I don't remember exactly. This is live footage of what it's gonna look like: a massacre, monstrosities, violence, speed, momentum, destruction. If you look at her, you know people are going to be hurt. Nice piano. It is a very nice piano. It's a Nord Stage EX that I got used for. I found a really good deal for it used. I bought it from some like old piano professor. I've been dreaming of having a Nord keyboard for years, and I finally was able to make that dream a reality. I'm super chuffed about it. Now the only problem is I need to practice more on the piano. That is the main problem. I've been thinking about doing more. I've been thinking about doing more music streams though, or trying to do music streams in general. We got him 2023 edition. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's go back to the live footage. Nothing's happening. Wait, where did the cops go? Ah, oui, là. Reporters are gathering outside of Manhattan court ahead of potential charges against former President Donald Trump. A grand jury will decide whether to charge Trump over hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. This is going to be the big news for the over the next couple days. Like I said, there are good reasons why this might not stick at all. The main problem being the technicality of trying to apply New York penal law on what was essentially fraud within a federal campaign. Because you have to understand, it's not paying money to Stormy Daniels that was the crime. It's that the money paid to Stormy Daniels was declared as a legal expense as a legal expense that was refundable within the Trump campaign. That is the actual problem, the fraud that was committed. That distinction is pretty important when it comes to legal stuff. All right, that being said, dinner's ready. So I think we're gonna raid out. I'm pretty happy with today's stream. We had like a lot of covered a lot of really cool content. Today's VOD was fire. Really nice stream today. Thank you everyone for watching and supporting and liking and enjoying and all that stuff. Lots of new viewers as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Yo, hey, let's keeping with the topic. We can raid into Sansol. He's his stream title: Trump arrest back from New York City. Yo, he even was in New York City.
President.
We could
run over.
Let's raid into him.
Old lady horse.
So I wonder if he's gonna go back to stream regularly. Which president was arrested while in office for what? Okay. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow evening. Probably we're going to cover more French politics, see as the situation unfolds with regards to the failure of the vote of no confidence to Macron's government. I'm going to try, I'm going to be leaving on for a ski trip this weekend. I'll maybe try to do an IRL stream during Euro hours this week to see if I can show up at one of the protests and show you what it's like on the ground in the protests. That would be, I think, a nice experience for the stream. And yeah, those are the plans for this week. Probably going to be streaming a bit less since towards the end of the week I'll need to be preparing for the for my trip, and then next week I will be streaming a lot, but those will be IRL streams from the mountains. I'll be streaming skiing. I'll be streaming walking in the mountains. So definitely a different vibe. None of this like political analysis stuff, though we obviously can still talk politics, but you know, I'm not going to be able to sit in front of a screen, do research, prepare myself, etc., etc. It will be during EU hours in the afternoon. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy Sansol's stream. Bye-bye. I love you all.
President of the United States, and he was arrested while serving as president for running down an old woman while on horseback. Was never convicted of a crime connected to the incident. Insufficient evidence.